What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to Monday. Let's freaking get it, boys and girls. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a good weekend. Let me know in the chat, how were you? How was the weekend? How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Josh, I just finished my school project about 2001: A Space Odyssey. Timing couldn't be better. Oh, how about that? How about that? Plus, I bet a bunch of you guys went and saw Dune 2 this weekend. Anybody go see Dune 2 this weekend? PJ got married this weekend. Feels pretty good. That's awesome, man. Congratulations to you. Congratulations, my man. Much love to you. Hail Wizard says gonna see it tomorrow over on Twitch. That's awesome. Let's see here. We got Riley over on the Twitters. Shout out to everybody that's watching on Twitter. Shout out to everybody that's watching on Kick. Shout out to everybody that's watching on Twitch. And of course, shout out to everybody watching over here on YouTube's. It's going to be a good stream, man. It's going to be a good stream. It's going to be a good month. I took some time this weekend to kind of think about what do we want to do for the deep dive for the Nerdvengers this month. And I decided, okay, I made an executive decision here. I decided what I want to do is I want to deep dive on the X-Men, okay? Part of this is because X-Men 97 comes out in like 17 days, which there's going to be 2 episodes. Got to figure out when it's dropping exactly, but I would love to do a watch party for that. And, you know, it's funny. So Benjamin says, wow. So this is actually kind of part of it, right? Is I wanted to deep dive on the history of the X-Men, and part of what I want to deep dive on is this woke aspect. Not to go there right away and get everybody all ruffled and everything like that. A1 Exec FBS, what's up, man? Much love to you. Shout out to Atlanta. Here's what I want to talk about. I want to get into what actually caused the X-Men to pop off. What is its exact relationship in history to, you know, civil rights or even otherisms. You know, I did a lot of research this weekend. It was fascinating. I watched a lot of interviews with Chris Claremont. 4 minutes in and we're talking woke. I know. God damn it! Why can't we escape this shit? So I watched a lot of interviews over the weekend with Chris Claremont, who if you should probably know who Chris Claremont is, to be honest with you. It's okay if you don't. That's kind of part of what I want to explore in this month is the history of X-Men, the history of the X-Men writers, the stories from the X-Men catalog that actually propelled it to incredible heights. Chris Claremont and a lot of the stories he wrote were adapted into the X-Men 90s animated show. Okay? And I was kind of surprised at some of the things that Chris Claremont said. And even to this day, Chris Claremont has been making some waves and getting in a little bit of controversy with some of the things that he's been saying in conventions and stuff like that. And so it's really fascinating. And I want to deep dive on that. I want to deep dive on, for instance, I think my impression of the X-Men is that the allegories for civil rights, the allegories for racism, some of these things are really integral to like the identity of the X-Men. However, I think what I'm really interested in sort of researching and deep diving with you guys is like, is that why it's popular? Or is X-Men actually popular because of characters, complex storytelling? And one of the things that was kind of fascinating is like, so you look at Claremont and you look at his catalog, right? God Loves, Man Kills is maybe one of the most allegorical X-Men stories. It's really about bigotry. It's like, it really goes there, right? But I mean, Age of Apocalypse isn't. Dark Phoenix isn't. You know, even the Savage Land stuff, it's not. So X-Men is interesting, and I think given the lens of like 2024 and just the modern day identity politics, the whole thing with X-Men is that it's going to become sort of weaponized in the culture war, right? And you'll have a lot of people say like, oh, X-Men is woke, X-Men has always been woke. You have other people saying like, that's not true, it's actually a misnomer, there's the truth about X-Men, etc., etc. And what I wanted to do was, instead of like get into that debate and fight, actually do the research together, look at the history, become fucking experts on the X-Men, and then be able to speak with some authority about what the true nature of the X-Men is. It'll be a nuanced and complicated kind of discussion, but I think it's going to be awesome. Okay, so that's what I decided to do for this month as far as the deep dives with the Nerdventure streams. And also, I wanted to kind of start that today. Experts. Oh my God, I like that. I'm going to write that down. I might steal that for like merch or something. Oh, wow. Guys, did you see how I came up with that idea? The expert idea all on my own? Do you guys see how smart I am? How did I get so smart? Wow. Okay, so we'll talk more about that later. But later in the stream, I want to talk about X-Men 97 a little bit, because it's coming out in 17 days, right? I want to talk about how and why that animated show is so important. And there's a couple of videos I want to watch about that. Then I want to watch a video where Mark Silvestri and Rob Liefeld talk about the X-Men from the 90s. There's a video I want to do where Grant Morrison and Jonathan Hickman talk about the X-Men. Like mind-blowing stuff. So I want to spend the back half of today's stream watching X-Men videos, reacting to that kind of stuff, and getting a little bit of an education. And then tomorrow at 7 p.m. for the members, we're going to dive deep. We're going to get into some real research, have some like conversations, break down some things, and really get into it tomorrow night at 7. So if you are a member here on YouTube, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys know this already, but we do those streams Tuesdays at 7 p.m. If you're a member on Twitch, and you can become a member on Twitch essentially for free via the Jeff Bezos bucks and the Amazon Prime thing, right? You still get to be a part of those streams. You have to do it through the Discord, and Elisa kind of controls that section of it, but you get to watch the stream live. She will relay your comments to me into the chat over there. So it's a pretty cool thing. So far this year, in January, we deep dived on Jack Kirby and Stan Lee and the creation of Marvel. In February, we deep dove on George Lucas and the creation of Star Wars. And this month, I want to deep dive on the X-Men. I want you to become experts. And I came up with that on my own. So that's what we're going to do, man. It is time. It is time to get excited about the X-Men. X-Men 97 later this month. Deadpool 3 in the summer. And a lot of X-Men will be popping up there. So that's going to be really cool. Also, I think this month we're going to release our X-Men inspired merchandise. We've actually had some pieces of X-Men merch sitting there for over a year. Might even be over 2 years. I actually don't really want to think about it. But we created a bunch of designs for the X-Men because we thought Feige was going to like do that way sooner. and he didn't. But he is now. So we've got a lot of cool pieces of merch. I think we'll drop that at some point this week. And I'm telling you, like, they're cool. We actually haven't updated the Nerdvengers merch in a long time. And so this will be the first kind of like update of merch. And dude, it's fucking cool. It's really cool. So I'm going to pick up a bunch of it. I think you guys will be excited to pick some of it up as well. Yeah, I mean, as far as anything else, when it comes to like show notes and like what's going on, had an incredible time on the Diamond Lounge stream on Friday. Sorry that it got as crazy as it did, and I thought about deleting it. I don't know. It got pretty crazy in there. I mean, if you guys were in there, what do you think? Out of 10, on a scale from 1 to 10. How crazy did that Diamond Lounge stream get? Should I delete it? Tobin, what up, man? Says hitting the dispensary, then watching Dune 2. Have a good week, bros. Right back at you, man. Okay, so a 10, 69, only an 8. That's nice. 11, 12.5, 1,000, 10, 4, 6, 42. Nice, I like that. Coral. 8.5 and no. Okay, cool. Cool. Should deep dive on Vegas on my birthday week. That would be sick. Now you have to tell us what was discussed. Do I, though? Do I have to be a Prime member for the Diamond Lounge? No. So the Diamond Lounge is, you have to be a member for 6+ months. And that we're going to make that work on Twitch as well. So, you know, if you figure it out on Twitch, technically like for free or whatever, you know, as long as you're a member for 6 months. Basically, we just want to make sure that I'm probably not going to get canceled. So if you're a member for 6 months, I would like to believe that you're not going to cancel me for all the crazy shit that I say. But yeah, it got pretty crazy. It got pretty crazy on Friday. Somebody said, read my super. Wait, who said that? Okay, Space Trick Cereal. I'm sending $5 to use Josh as a vessel to ask a forbidden question. Have you ever seen an ice cream truck get gas? Damn, that's crazy. No, I haven't. Actually, what the fuck? Yo, can I tell you guys something about the the ice cream truck? And look, wait, you can only cancel yourself? Wait, what? No, you can't. You cancel me. I'll cancel you about canceling. Sheesh. Okay. Let me tell you guys a little bit of a little story here about the ice cream truck. And this will give you, yet again, another little insight into Josh's upbringing and how he became the person that he is today. So I have an aunt. Okay. And her real name is Catherine, but she always and forever wanted to be known as Aunt Candy. This is not a fake story. This is real. She's actually like the sweetest lady ever, but she's an eccentric. Okay. So when I was much younger, because my mom and her sister, Catherine, had children around the same time, to give the parents a break, we would have like all of the kids. So me and my cousins would stay at like my parents for like a couple weeks in the summer, and then they'd go over to my aunt's for a couple of weeks during the summer. Okay. So normally because like I live in the boonies, right? My parents lived like out in the middle of nowhere. No ice cream truck there, you know, when it's like a couple of houses every couple of miles, you know, it's not really a great place to drive your ice cream truck. However, my aunt lived in a pretty suburban, you know, housing development type area. Okay. And the ice cream truck would come in, and when that happened, see, maybe you didn't realize this, but the ice cream truck would play a very noticeable song and get people really hyped. The kids would hear it. They'd rush out there. They'd probably first go to mom and dad and be like, can I get some money for ice cream? And then go over to the ice cream truck, okay? So My aunt didn't want to deal with that shit. And so what she told us was that the ice cream man was actually the devil. And all the kids that go get the ice cream from the ice cream man are going to actually have their souls taken by the devil. So we'd be out playing. Yeah. So listen, just listen. Just stick with me here, okay? We'd be out there playing, like skateboarding, hanging out in a cul-de-sac or just hanging out in the neighborhood, and we'd hear the ice cream truck coming in, and myself and my cousins would fucking sprint away like Willem Dafoe in fucking Platoon or whatever movie that was, and we would just be like, no! And just like sprint home and like literally like hide. And all the other kids would be out there like getting their ice cream and doing their thing or whatever. But like my aunt's brilliant way to not have to buy us ice cream was to tell us that it was the devil. So that's just something that always sticks with me, because I'm sure many of you had a normal childhood where when you heard the ice cream truck sound, you got excited, jovial, and ate ice cream and had a good time. So anyway, that's a little bit about my life. Man, I cleared all the cookies. Why is this music still having an issue? Sheesh. Okay. Come on, music. Come on. What are you doing to me? I want to listen to some beats. So there you go. Yep. Makes sense why Josh likes Warhammer. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong about that. I've been saying on Twitter and in the Discord and everything that, I really like Dune. Really like Dune 2. Can't wait to see it again. But it also makes me long for the live-action Warhammer stuff, because I can't wait for you guys to see, like, the upgraded version of Dune 2. That's right, I said it. Warhammer is upgraded Dune. It is better. It is better. And it will be better. And you will like it. Mm-hmm. Woo! Okay, a couple other things, show notes and everything like that. Of course, we have the Second Chance Unity Kickstarter that is out right now. Here's something I gotta ask you. Are people still having problems doing the thing? I kind of checked out this weekend. I'm gonna be honest. I checked out this weekend. Are you guys still having problems backing the Kickstarter? I know there's like a shit ton of people on Friday and even on Twitter that were like, it's not letting me. You still having problems with it? Let me know. I can try to get into that and I can contact them and try to fix it, okay? But just a couple of minor updates on Unity, the Second Chance Kickstarter. You have until Friday, I think at noon, to be able to read the first 45 pages for $1. So it's kind of like a cool thing we have going on. If you're curious about the book, and dude, honestly, the book's fucking awesome. Like, it's really, really cool. So if you're curious, you want to read the first 45 pages, go to Kickstarter, back the project for $1. I will send you the PDF for the first 45-page chapter, okay? You can read it. If you hate it or you hate me, you can undo the $1. You don't even have to permanently spend your goddamn $1. And you still read it, and it's fine. I don't care. But, I think after you read the first 45 pages, you will be like, hot damn, that's pretty fucking cool. I would like to purchase the full book now. That's what it's about. So go on over there and check out Unity. We're adding the t-shirts today as tiers in and of themselves, because some people were like, well, I don't want to buy another copy of the book. I already got a copy of the book in the first one, but now I want to get a shirt because I've read the first chapter and I know it's fucking dope, so I want to support more. So we're going to make some things where you can just get a shirt, add some stuff to it. I'm going to try to add some cool shit in the next couple of weeks for the Kickstarter as well. So stay tuned for all of that. But we've got like, I think 60 something new backers. I have to do a lot of promoting, try to get the word out there on Unity, and try to get as many people to check out that 45-page chapter 1 and basically support the Kickstarter, pre-order a copy of the book. So I'm excited about that. here's another thing. Stan finished the art for chapter 2. I'm going to pull this up so I can show you guys. Just a little tease. Just a little. It's just a little tease. Check this out, man. This is one of the action pages in chapter 2. So Stan has completed all the pages in chapter 2. Chapter 2 is 27 pages. And Robert starts on the colors for these pages this week. So we are cooking. We are getting right into chapter 2. I have a little bit of stuff I want to adjust in the script for chapter 3. And then, boom, chapter 3. We'll get into work on chapter 3 as well. So I'm super hyped up and excited about that, man. I don't even know how else to say it. Like, we cooked up something special, but the art itself, the team has taken it to another level. It's this beautiful collaborative effort because it's making me want to up my game on the scripts and things of that nature too. So Unity's dope. And if you don't know, try it out for $1 by Friday, and you will know. So, cooking on chapter 2, and I'm excited. This action sequence is going to blow you guys away. It's really fun. Whew! So, I'm excited. I'm excited! I'm so excited! I think that's all the, like, show notes and whatnot. We can, what's the backing deadline? I think you got like 27 days, 26 days or something like that. It's early days, man. You got like the rest of the month, basically. I'm generally excited to see where the story goes, yo. Oh, hell yeah, man. And Ross, your character comes in chapter 3 heavy in a big way. Renee's character comes in heavy in a big way in chapter 3. And then, man, a bunch of other people's characters comes in too. I still got to hear from Jon Snow. You got to hit me up, bro, because I still don't know about your character. But a lot of the characters that the Nerdvengers created are in chapter 3. And chapter 3 is like, you know, look, a lot of you have read chapter 1, and so you kind of get the big reveals and the things at the end. Chapter 2 is kind of the part 2 to that. And without giving any spoilers away, it's very connected to like chapter 1 and 2 are kind of like an oh shit, this is happening now. Chapter 3 begins in the wake of that. And then chapter 3 is like, it's very crazy how every character deals with what happens at the end of chapter 2, if that makes sense. So, open the 200 collector tier until you hit the 300 number. Just make it the original collectors get to vote. Look, I'm down and I'm okay with that, but we'd have to okay that with the backers. So let me talk to the collectors about that. We could potentially do something like that. Here's the thing. I think at the end of the day, the backers want their books to be as rare as possible. Okay? So right now there's 150 collector versions of the book. These are like the special edition version of the book, but they're going to have a foil cover. You know, it's either going to have foil itself or it'll be like, what are they called? Like the sleeve that you put on the book. I might just make these like really nice foil sleeves. But either way, you get that, you get the collector hoodie, and then of course you get access into the collector Discord. So from their perspective, right? They want that to be as rare as possible. Now, look, what's the difference between 150 copies and 300 copies? Not a lot, but I mean, it is a difference. You know what I mean? So they have the right to say that's it. Do you know what I mean? Because they paid that already. Like the collectors in the first Kickstarter made up like 50 to 60%. I don't have the exact numbers, but it's like 60% of the whole thing. So like they basically brought the book to life. And I know, look, look, on one level, it's like I understand it, because for you to take that leap with the original Kickstarter when we didn't really have much of the book done is crazy. You would have had to just like believe in the project, believe in me, and then be like, I'm gonna give this motherfucker $200. You know what I mean? I think now that you can see more of what it is, a lot more people are like, oh shit, like this is kind of dope. I would do that now. And I get that part of it. Like, I understand that. It's just a complicated thing. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'll talk to the collectors about it. I'm not necessarily super against it, but I also understand their perspective of like, no, like we have we have voting rights. Like, we're going to vote to protect our shit. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You know? Yeah, Grupple says, exactly, Josh. After reading chapter 1, I'd much rather give you the 200. It makes more sense now. And I do understand that. Like I said, I get both sides. So let me talk to the collectors. We'll see what we come up with. You know, one of the things I sort of floated at them as well was like, well, what if we do collectors for volume 2? Do you know what I mean? Because like, so volume 1 is going to be these 5 chapters. It's looking to be 150 plus pages. It's a big old chunk of story, but we're going to go right into volume 2. So volume 2 will be another 5 chapters. And dude, like volume 2 is like, I'm very excited about that shit. So it's possible maybe when volume 2 comes around, we do collector tiers for that. And that's something we've talked about with the collectors. We'll talk about it either way. I appreciate all the support. We are putting a lot of time, money, and energy into this book. I am really glad that you guys like it. The reception on the first chapter has been insane. And I'm telling you, chapter 2 is... Whew! Chapter 2 is hot, man. And chapter 3 is my favorite chapters. Like, it's... Yeah. Yeah. I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, I'm really excited about Unity. I appreciate all the support. If you're interested, I would really suggest go get that 45 chapter for $1. I will update you guys throughout the next 30 days or whatever it is, 26 days of things we add to the Kickstarter, things like that. So it's okay. I'm okay with that. I just don't want there to be like thousands of collectors in there. Yeah, no, and there won't be. But look, maybe we talk about it. Maybe we talk about it in a town hall this weekend, and you know. Yes, I can't get the Kickstarter. Okay, so if you still can't back the Kickstarter, would you mind sending me a message either on Kickstarter or on Discord so that I can try to address this? I'm gonna need to. I need more information before I talk to Kickstarter. You know what I mean? Oh, Zach says, congrats on having the balls to create something special, Josh. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, no, I mean, look, I did comics a long time ago. Last Wednesday, I showed you guys like my old comics that I wrote like 10 years ago, published 8 years ago. So I've always loved comics. I used to work in comics. I was a editor of a very small press comic book company. Great dudes, though. It was awesome. But YouTube, I walked away from comics essentially and just did YouTube, and had a good bit of success on YouTube. But I always wanted to go back to comics, man. Like, I always wanted to go back to comics because that's like where my passion lies. Like, that's storytelling is something I'm much more passionate about. And I started cooking this Unity idea up like 2019, 2020, because it was something I was going to go back to my old publisher with and do some stuff with. And then ended up just deciding to kind of do it on my own. And yeah, I mean, it's been great. The team is top tier. The art is awesome. The story is very intriguing. So I think you guys, like, I just appreciate that you guys are enjoying it, and I am very excited for you to read the full thing. When you get that full 5-chapter book, I mean, I think you'll fly through it and you'll demand more. but it's also going to be very satisfying. You know what I mean? Are you planning on autographing Volume 1? The only thing I'm signing is the collector stuff. And that's if they want it. Okay? So it's just, because we still might go through fulfillment, I don't want to promise that I'm signing anything. But I'll tell you this, after the book comes out and you guys get it, I will be doing a lot more Comic-Cons. Like, I want to go to a Comic-Con. I want to go here. There, see a bunch of you guys. And if you got a copy of it, I'll sign it for free at any con or any meetup or anything that you know what I mean? Like, I just don't want to have to pay extra shipping to like ship from fulfillment to me to sign it and then ship it back and all that, right? I'll do it for the collectors. But yeah. Come to CincyCon. Oh man, I'm gonna try to go all over, man. I'm gonna get mine signed twice. Oh shit. Josh, come down for SDCC. I'd love to, man. I don't think I'm gonna be able to go this year though. I don't think I'm gonna be able to go this year, but late this year I should be able to hit a few cons, and then next year we're taking Unity on the con circuit, man. I want to try to go to a bunch of different cons, get the book out there, try to sell the book, talk about the Kickstarter for Volume 2 or something like that. We'll see. Josh, are you using that new fulfillment company? Trinity, I'm open to all sorts of discussions and possibilities, but I also, I need all the details. I have my reservations and... I mean, Trinity, you're trying to get me in trouble. We talk behind the scenes. Trinity knows. But Trinity, don't you say a goddamn word. Will you sign my Unity underwear? They're custom. Jesus Christ. I could pledge now, but I had to use the link from your last live, not on this in the video description. Wait, what? Really? That's interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, if you're having trouble, let me know, guys. Anyway, let's get into some content. Let's talk about the nerdy shit. Okay. Would love to know, too. I already asked you guys this earlier, but I'd love to know. How many of you guys saw Dune 2 this weekend? Throw a 1 into the chat, baby. How many of you guys saw Dune 2? Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, a bunch of people saw it, man. I'm not gonna talk too many spoilers. We're not gonna get into spoilers or anything, but I would really love to see this movie again. The more I thought about it, because I even loved it right away. On Friday I talked about it. I think it's a masterpiece. But as I was thinking more about it this week, I was like, damn, like I would really like to see that again. Also, I watched the first one again, right? And I don't know how many of you guys had a similar experience, but as I was watching the first one, I was like, bro, the second one is so much better. And I remember liking the first one, but there are some issues in that first movie. Number one, the sound design, the fact that like the volume goes from like to like, you know what I mean? Like, it literally goes like that. Horrible sound balancing and sound design. It also is kind of fucking boring. Like, I'm going to be honest. There's some parts of Dune 1 that were, like, super boring. And I remember really enjoying the first movie when I saw it. But after watching the second one, it's pretty obvious that, like, he upped his game. He really tightened it up. 2 is a masterpiece. 1 is good. 2 is a masterpiece. So I really, really do want to check it out again. And I guess let me ask you guys this because I'm real curious. Did you or are you planning on watching Dune 2 again in the movie theaters? Kaylin Jackson says, very boring. I didn't even finish the last 40 minutes of part 1. Yeah, part 1 is like... I don't know how to really describe it. It's like he's getting into the world of Dune. There's a lot of stuff that's done successfully in the film, but the film itself, its own narrative, like the experience of the viewer is not as pristine as what it is in number 2. So it almost feels like this starter movie, or like when you first get into a video game and you're like understanding all the mechanics and like, you know, you're pretty sloppy at actually putting together the gameplay and the loop. Like almost like a beta or something, right? It's like a beta version of what would come in the second one. But yeah, I guess I'm really curious as to how many people are going to go see Dune 2 again, because it did have a pretty successful weekend at the box office, which is the first thing that I want to get into here. I want to talk about the box office for Dune. And of course, we're going to talk about, you know, its success this weekend, but it's really all about weekend number 2. How big's the drop-off going to be? What's the competition like? Because, again, I really want to see Dune 2 again. I'm actually questioning whether or not I will go see it again. It's just one of those things. Like, I don't know if you guys have that feeling or not. I'm literally like, oh, I'd love to go see that movie again. Don't think I will, though. Like, how am I going to find the time? Like, when am I going to find the time? You know, it's just, it is what it is. Okay, so let's get into the actual numbers. Box office, Dune 2 delivers on promise with big 81.5 domestic opening. Denis Villeneuve, did I say it right finally? Sci-fi epic starring Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya also blew away audiences overseas, scored $178 million. Warner Brothers and Legendary's Dune Part 2 is delivered on its promise to re-energize the box office after a terrible early winter. Yeah, that's another kind of part of this story, is just how bad the box office has been in this winter. And I mean, I don't know, man, between the Marvels and Madame Web, you got a lot of stinkers in there, right? Denis Villeneuve sequel, sporting an A-list cast, God damn it, opened to an estimated $81.5 million in North America this weekend, double that of the first film, and the biggest opening of the year to date. It's a major win for Legendary and broadening the audience for its Dune franchise, and its biggest opening to date for Villeneuve and Chalamet. Dune 2, likewise, whipping up a sandstorm overseas. Oh, shit, nice. Where it opened to $97 million in 71 markets for a global start of $178 million. It doesn't land in China until next weekend, and Japan the week after that. Sci-fi can be a tough sell in certain regions, including some Latin American markets, but Europe and other areas more than made up for any gaps. The UK led with 11.5 million, followed by France's 9.3 and Germany's 8.4. The film also did huge business in IMAX theaters, which delivered 32.2 of the million total global gross, or a notable 18%. In 10 markets, IMAX enjoyed its biggest opening ever. Like his friend Christopher Nolan, Villeneuve shot part of the movie with IMAX cameras. Throughout the weekend, Warner Brothers tried to manage expectation and suggested Dune 2 would debut more 72 to 75 million range. Sci-fi genre can be a tough sell, and Villeneuve films run 2 hours and 46 minutes. It is a hard thing to sort of slot out. With travel and everything, you're looking like 3.5 hours, 4 hours. So it's hard to kind of slot that time out. Dune 2's secret sauce, a glowing A cinema score compared to the A- for the first, stellar reviews, and again, glowing audience exit scores. Heading into the weekend, tracking said Dune 2 would launch domestically at 74 million. Warner Bros., however, remained more conservative, sticking with 65 domestic, 75 million overseas. After enduring one of the worst early winters in years outside of the pandemic, theaters are banking on the movie to usher in a steady stream of event fare that was delayed by last year's labor strike. Almost done with this article here. Theaters are unhappy when Legendary, led by CEO Josh Gode, decided to delay the movie's release from last fall to now so that Chalamet and Zendaya would both be available to publicize the film and help broaden the appeal. Both have had sway with younger viewers, but it turned out to be the right move. One example being the attention Chalamet received for his performance in Warner Bros. Holiday Winter Wonka. Okay. So let's see here. Dune grossed more than $402 million at the worldwide box office in 2021, a solid and promising number considering the pressures of the pandemic and the film's day-and-date streaming release. That is actually true. But the filmmakers have far bigger expectations for the follow-up. Dune 2's Thursday previews numbers, 12 million, was also more than double the 5.1 million grossed in previews by Dune in 2021. Although that movie was hobbled by both pandemic and decision to debut it simultaneously on HBO Max, now known simply as Max. Overall, the film was the strongest preview showing since Barbie, racked up $22.3 million July 2023 around the same weekend. Oppenheimer started off with 10.5 in previews on a way of domestic debut of 82.5. Barbie rocketed to 162. Preview gross was included 1 million tracking from an earlier IMAX fan event. Okay, so I find this to be pretty interesting. Obviously, a successful opening weekend for Dune. I don't think it's like all-time great or like a super big record holder. Like, I think it's the 8th biggest opening ever for this particular month, which is good, but, you know, not great. Pretty solid, though. And I like this fact that it kind of opens with Oppenheimer. But here's the question. Because Oppenheimer, at least as far as I understand it, Oppenheimer just kept on trekking. Like, it had a modest opening weekend and then just kept making money, and it remained in theaters for a long, long time. And just kind of like that Top Gun Maverick kind of a vibe, where it's just a great movie to see in the theaters. The word of mouth on it just got stronger and stronger. And so it had legs. Like, it had a long time to make all of that money. A lot of eyes are going to be looking at what is the second weekend drop-off for Dune 2. And I think that will kind of make or break how successful the movie will be overall. We're also going to be heading into the summer season in, like, I don't know, a couple of weeks into a month. So we'll see if any of those movies kind of take a chunk out of Dune 2. As I was asking, I wanted to see how many of you guys were going to go see Dune 2. And man, I mean, I want it to do really well. I personally really do want to see it again, but it's like, it's a huge chunk of time, and I don't know. It's going to be like, how many people are just going to wait for streaming with this film? You know what I mean? Dune has no competition until Ghostbusters and Godzilla at the end of the month. Yeah, but I mean, that's true and that's fair. I would argue those are pretty substantial competitors. And so that could cut off like the super long legs of the movie succeeding and making a bunch of money. There's also this whole thing with the HBO show. And I'm just curious. You know, we talked about last week how, although I love this movie and I really like Dune as a franchise, I just don't think it has the ingredients to be as mass appeal and as pop culturally relevant as some other big franchises and brands. You know, sort of like the weirdness, the nuanced take on, you know, the hero, lack of merchandise, timing, all sorts of aspects could be holding it back. So I guess we're just going to kind of wait and see if it has an incredibly strong hold going into week 2. I think some conversations are going to start to happen as far as how big of a deal this is and how exciting this is. I think the one thing that is sort of assured is that at the very least we will be getting the third movie. Really interested in how that's going to happen, but I would put that on a timetable of like 3 years. You know, like I think Denis is going to take his time. I think Timothy's got stuff going on. Zendaya's got stuff going on. So I think it might be 3 years before you would see that last Dune movie. And then, you know, Denis doesn't want to go forward. He doesn't want to do like the Children of Dune and all that craziness. But if the movies are successful enough, maybe Warner Brothers, especially maybe after they get purchased or merged or something, Warner Brothers could be really interested in expanding the franchise and in doing more. So this is a very interesting time for Dune. If you're a Dune fan, you know, you're probably like hoping it just crushes. If you're just a fan of good sci-fi, probably hoping for the same. I'm just kind of sitting back and waiting to see what happens. You know, there's like an MMO video game for Dune. You got that show about the Bene Gesserit. You have the hype of the potential third movie. We'll see. if the formulas, if all of these things kind of come together, and I mean, the one thing you can't deny, at least I don't think you can deny, is that it's a really, really good movie. That second movie, holy shit, incredible. So happy to see it be successful. Questions about how successful it'll be from here on out. But as a big old nerd and somebody that follows this pop culture stuff, man, I am quite curious as to how this all plays out for Dune Part 2. Let's go to the polls, man. Let's see if you guys are going to go see it again. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Let's go to the polls. Will you be seeing Dune 2 multiple times? And be honest. Be honest in this poll. Don't vote like, yeah, I want to. Are you actually going to do it? Are you actually going to do it? Are you going to get the sitter? Are you going to buy the tickets? Are you actually going to do it? Hey, Dar Boyd says, just got back from a job interview. Becoming a nerd venture might be in my future. Oh, hell yeah, bro. Oh, hell yeah. What's a Dune? God damn it. Popcorn bucket? Oh, yeah. Nervous Army says, would you ever write something in the style of Warhammer? Maybe like what you did with your Batman thing? Yeah, potentially. I mean, the Batman thing, like, I love that book. I think that story's awesome. There was a lot of positive reception to it as well. But, like, the goal with that book, and I'm still in the process of doing this, is, like, I want to put together... And you know what? Maybe it's the time. Maybe it's time to talk about this. Maybe I can get some advice from you guys. I've been thinking about actually applying to write comics for bigger companies. Potentially like Marvel and DC, although they might fucking hate me. But maybe also like some IDW, other big companies and whatnot, right? And as a part of that, I've been thinking about putting together like a little... It's like a reel, but it's basically just some of my comics, the way I write, and I would include that 10-page Batman story. And what would be kind of fun is like finding the editors at these different companies, sending them, my what would you call it? My resume? My resume? Hopefully they're not watching right now. They're not going to hire me. So I could send in my resume to these people and actually be like, hey, man, I want a fucking job. I want a goddamn job. I mean, I don't really need the job, but I want the job. And I want to write comics. And that could be kind of a fun thing for us to do together. Where, like, imagine this as a stream. Reading all of my rejection letters from major comic book publishers. And then we just spend a couple of hours and we read all the rejection letters where they're like, thanks, but no thanks, Josh. We've seen your streams. Go fuck yourself. Like just stuff like that. It'd be kind of fun. And I still need to pitch that manga. I feel so bad. Yo, if you're the dude in here that hooked me up with the manga thing, I'm so fucking sorry, dude. Because I actually wrote the first issue of that. I have the pitch ready to go for the manga. I've just been swamped with YouTube work. So, yeah. What do you think? Should I do it? Isn't Unity competition to them? Potentially. But potentially not if they want to publish it. I'm open to Unity becoming a published comic. I'm still going to take care of my Kickstarter people. But, yeah, if somebody wanted to publish Unity, I'd be down. In fact, I'm thinking about pitching it to Image, to be honest. Yeah, like wait till we get, maybe all 5 chapters done, and then I'll pitch to Image. There's only like a couple of stipulations. Like, I just need to make sure my Kickstarter people are taken care of, and then, yeah, put it in previews, and I'll try to use the platform to get people to buy it via whatever we decide to do through publishing and stuff like that. But Invincible and Walking Dead were competition. They got Robert Kirkman and hired at Marvel. Yep. So, yeah, I think that would just be kind of cool. I'm thinking about doing it, man. Thinking about doing it. It'd be fun. Let's do a live stream petition for Obi-Wan Season 2. No thanks, man. No thanks. Just don't make Robin gay. No, I wouldn't do that. I would do some real crazy shit, though. If they let me in, I would do some real crazy shit. We would be cooking. We'd be cooking, man. Cooking. But we'll see. Okay, that's the first story, is the Dune box office. You guys want to get into this Hugh Jackman Secret Wars kind of stuff here? Should we get into the Hugh Jackman comments? Because, oh man, did they make me happy. Sydney Sweeney's boobs. I would be willing to do a slight sidetrack on Sydney Sweeney's boobs, but only if you guys want me to. You know? And look, they're both very exciting prospects, but to me, no offense to Sydney, but the prospect of Hugh Jackman and Toby and RDJ together on screen as their respective Marvel characters, that might be better boner fuel than yeah. So anyway, okay, small little side tangent here on Sydney Sweeney's boobs. Now, I saw that over the weekend, Sydney Sweeney's boobs hosted SNL. Now, I assume the rest of her was there as well. I haven't actually seen any evidence of that, though. Okay? And the discussion around Sydney Sweeney on SNL has been fascinating to watch go down online. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but man, they be trending, okay? They be trending. And I've also noticed and just kind of been confused, embarrassed, but also intrigued about this, how Sydney Sweeney's boobs have now become a culture war issue. Have you guys seen this? I've seen these posts that are like, the right hates this. And it's like Sydney Sweeney's boobs. And it's like, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Then I've seen other people saying like, wokeness is dead. And it's like a picture of Sydney Sweeney's boobs. And man, it's like, this is why we can't have nice things. You know? Like this moment that could have brought us closer together. You know, we could have buried the hatchet, shared understanding, shared principles, talked about the things that united us. Whew. We can't even have that. We can't even have that. They had to make the boobs political. And I think she should go with it. Like, one boob blue, one boob red, a MAGA boob, a dark Brandon boob. You know what I mean? Something like that. Talk about get out the vote. Yeah, I have no idea where I'm going with this shit. That's pretty much the extent of what I have to say on the subject. I'll be here all week. Okay. Let's talk about the actual subject here. Woo! I regret this talk. Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. Okay, let's get into the RDJ stuff here. Where's the thing here? Where's the I think Okay. Oh, man. I know things are awkward for Marvel right now, okay? We're down bad. Last couple of years, not so great. And a lot of people are like, oh, it'll never be the same. And I know there's a lot of concerns, questions, and things like that, right? So this comes from My Time to Shine. Hello. And she said that Hugh Jackman said he would be down for Secret Wars, but he wants to interact as Wolverine with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and RDJ Iron Man. Okay? By the way, I believe this. I think this is real. Okay? And it's very likely something that he actually said a long time ago. Because I think he's been signed not just for Deadpool and Wolverine, but for several different movies, including Secret Wars. Now, a couple of different things that we got to get into. Do you guys remember when it was first announced that Hugh Jackman was coming back? Do you guys remember that? And not just because it was awesome, and we were all like, holy shit. But I remember specifically there was this one TMZ interview where this guy like caught Hugh as he's coming out of his hotel or something like that. And they were just both so excited. And Jackman was like dabbing him up and was like really, really excited. And the question the guy said was, how'd they convince you to do it? And he said, come on, man. I make my own choices. You know what I mean? And it just seemed like he was ready. And not just to come back for Deadpool and Wolverine, but I think to come back in a more substantial role. Secret Wars with Hugh Jackman, huge, big freaking deal. Okay? Now, Tobey Maguire and RDJ. Let's talk about Tobey Maguire first. Tobey Maguire is said to be one of the leads of Secret Wars. And I mean, how could he not be? You're talking about Hugh Jackman Wolverine, icon of that role for years and years and years, one of the OGs in the space. Same thing with Tobey. Tobey's Spider-Man, when he got that pop in Spider-Man No Way Home and just the different things they give him, like I particularly love the end of the movie and Spider-Man No Way Home, where he's getting stabbed, he's like stopping Peter from killing Goblin. Meaningful, you know, impactful, important. But I'd also like to remind you that there was a little scoopy scoop back then that the original version of No Way Home actually had Tobey die in that scene, okay? Throw a one into the chat if you remember going over that. This was when I was still making TikToks, and I had a TikTok do like 1 million views talking about this. It was crazy. But that's actually real. Like, in the original version of that movie, Tobey dies there. Yeah. Now, go back and watch that movie because it's part of why it's so fucking awkward that like he's just doesn't die. And then him and Andrew are standing there and like they kind of like ad-lib all of that stuff, okay? Basically what happened, and this happens in a lot of films, this happened in Lost. In the original pilot of Lost, they were going to kill the main dude. I forget his name. Was it like Matthew or something like that, right? So they were going to kill that guy. A bunch of focus groups, a bunch of people were like, oh, but we actually like that dude. They decided to keep him alive the entire show. Okay? So So this kind of stuff happens, but they have this version of No Way Home, Tobey dies. Cool, impactful, big. But they love the 3 Spider-Boys together so much, they decide to reshoot it, change it. Because they want Tobey back. They want Tobey in another movie. They want Tobey in Secret Wars. Now, I did a video yesterday. I recommend you go check the video out. It gets into all the leaks, the rumors, and crazy stuff that's going on. Because there's like actual evidence that Tobey might get a Spider-Man 4. They might do a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey. And I have some crazy ideas. I've heard some wild things about what that could entail. I think Tobey's actually got a couple of big checks coming and definitely a lot to do in Secret Wars in it of itself. So you think about the history of the rumors when it comes to Tobey Maguire and Secret Wars. Yeah, obviously, he's going to be in there. He's going to be a big part of it. Jackman's like, I'm down as long as I get to interact with Tobey and RDJ Iron Man. Now, let's get into the RDJ Iron Man thing, okay? We have heard many different times in many different ways that RDJ Iron Man will be in Secret Wars. I think there's been some cold water that has been thrown on that particular rumor, partially because, I mean, now he's Oppenheimer, Oscar-winning, awesome RDJ, and not just the Doolittle guy outside of the MCU, you know what I mean? So his profile is high. And I also know there's been some effort in the press to sort of downplay the expectations of him actually coming back. Now, there was that big THR article that like triggered a lot of you guys, and you guys got like super pissed because they mentioned in that Marvel was actually considering bringing the old Avengers back, and not just for Secret Wars, but like permanently. Okay, that I think that's still like kind of up for debate. I actually don't think that's the direction they're gonna go. They'll probably recast for the soft reboot, but Downey was always going to return for Secret Wars. Is there an outside chance that he doesn't? I mean, sure, anything could happen, but I think this thing that My Time to Shine is like making public right now is sort of a sly way of her confirming that RDJ is going to be in that movie. Because Feige needs all of these pieces together to make this movie absolutely fucking incredible, and that includes RDJ. Everybody wants to play with RDJ. And if you just think about RDJ Iron Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Hugh Jackman Wolverine, just those three together, holy shit, what a cast. What a cast of heroes. And it's going to be beyond that because you're also going to have Loki. You know what I mean? You're also probably going to have Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland. You're going to have a lot of other like kind of ancillary comic book characters. But at its core, I do think you're going to have Wolverine, Deadpool, Tobey Maguire, RDJ Iron Man, maybe even Pedro as Mr. Fantastic. But this is kind of interesting because with where Marvel is currently at, it's like, you know, we're hearing all kinds of wild shit about the Thunderbolts. People are nervous about X-Men 97. People are super excited for Deadpool 3, but I know there's still some people that are a little worried about that. But, you know, you've got like Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts, Agatha, Ironheart, a lot of stuff that, like, frankly, I don't think is moving the needle all that much. Like, you guys can let me know. Chris Evans, I think Chris Evans absolutely. In fact, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about an article. Chris Evans is talking about superheroes and stuff. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think Chris Evans, 100%, he'll be back as well. And so we'll have all of those guys together. The point I am making, chat, is that things are shaky and things are weird, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. It'll feel great to kind of get past this era of Marvel and this period where we're doing a bunch of bullshit and we're hanging out with C-level characters and D-level characters. I just don't care. I want the juice. I want the real shit. I want the A-listers, the B-listers. I want this. I want RDJ, Tobey, and Jackman together. That's the shit, man. And I think we are getting it. So I wanted to talk about this because it kind of, to me, confirms that these are your leads for Secret Wars. My Time to Shine has already said that RDJ has already agreed to come back, by the way. Like, he literally, she literally said that. She was like, yeah, he already agreed to come back. Again, probably just for Secret Wars, maybe not for the future. I'd love, I mean, I know some of you guys don't want it. I say, fuck it, bring him back permanently. I say bring back Chris Evans permanently. I do not care about these new characters. I just want my old familiar great characters back. But I also understand, you know, passing the torch, blah, blah, blah. Maybe we get a really cool new Iron Man or something like that, right? But at the very least, this shit is coming in Secret Wars. I also think, considering where Marvel is currently at right now, these characters are going to be in Avengers 5. The original version of Avengers 5 was going to be the Kang Dynasty, right? That was going to have all the shitty Avengers that we don't care about. And the Kang Dynasty was going to show up punked their asses. The universe was going to collapse, and then the real heroes that we all actually care about were going to show up, try to save the day, and set up Secret Wars. Well, Marvel is desperate. Marvel is looking at what they've got with Avengers, and they're like, oh, shit, son. So the current rumors on that are that you're going to have those multiversal elements come in a lot sooner. Daniel RPK recently said that Feige is considering putting Wolverine and Deadpool into Avengers 5. That wasn't the original intention, but they're rewriting it right now. And he was so hyped up on what they did in Deadpool 3 that he wants them in Avengers 5. I think a lot of these characters are going to show up in Avengers 5. Because what is the point of doing an Avengers 5 that's essentially Secret Wars Part 1 and not having it be as awesome and as hyped up as it possibly could be, right? So I wanted to share this because, you know, I get questions all the time and I get comments all the time about why are you still riding with Marvel? MCU's dead. Why are you still holding on? And it's honestly all about this kind of shit for me. The possibilities and the hype of what this movie could be, what Secret Wars could be, not just as 2 movies, but as a phase as well. This has me incredibly excited. So, you know, we'll kind of, you know, make our way through some of this more lackluster content. Hopefully they kind of start to turn that shit around. And then this is where the hype is at, man. And so, yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. Just wanted to touch on it. And I'll address any questions or comments or concerns that you guys have. But the bottom line is there's still super hyped up shit that's going to be happening in the MCU. And that's a promise. Okay, anyway. Any questions, comments, concerns? Anybody super triggered? What's going on? I trust you. Thanks. This has been the dream many fans since Tobey first Spider-Man movie. Yep, for sure, man. Josh, all alone on the hype mountain. I don't know if all alone, but there used to be a lot more motherfuckers up here. I'll say that. What about Black Panther? Bro, okay, let me talk to you about Black Panther, okay? Please, Marvel, for the love of all things holy, have T'Challa in this cast as well. Please. Not Shuri, not T'Challa's son. No, T'Challa. The actual T'Challa. It is the fucking multiverse. Bring him in from a different thing. You know what I would do, honestly? I would make it so in Wakanda Forever, when the casket flies up into space and they've got, you know, that's T'Challa, that's his body or whatever, and he flies up into space, I would literally tell a whole story about how that was actually like a bunch of multiversal T'Challas that take his body, cure him, bring him back to life, make it the exact same T'Challa actually, and then just like fix it that way. But you can of course bring him in from a different universe or something like that. But hell yeah, man. I think you need T'Challa mixing up with these guys. 100%. 100%. Does anybody like Shuri? It's not that we don't like Shuri. I mean, I think Shuri's cool. And Shuri has been the Black Panther alongside her brother in comics. Sometimes when he's disgraced, she has the mantle. It's the character of T'Challa who a lot of us see as Black Panther. That character is important. There is no way you can replace that character. Like, that character is very important. You know what I mean? So, yeah, if they don't do it, they dumb as hell. That's just what it is. Like, if they have this beautiful opportunity and they don't do it, it's dumb as hell. Also, you know, you want to talk about, like, diversity and representation and, like, actually doing a dope version of that. You have, like, I would argue maybe the greatest, if not top 3, top 5 greatest black superheroes ever. The King of Wakanda, T'Challa. So, like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? Just do that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, hopefully that's something they do as well. Now, the rumor was, and I don't know, we haven't had any updates on this, but the rumor was that you were going to get a new T'Challa after the soft reboot. So it kind of feels like at some level, Marvel has realized the mistake and they're going to reset it after Secret Wars. At least I hope so. I hope it's not his son. You know what I mean? Hope it's not his son. Not that I have a problem with his son. I just want T'Challa. Like, the real one. The real T'Challa. Josh, I think John David Washington could make a great Black Panther T'Challa. I agree. I obviously don't... If you guys have seen me talk about this before, I'm not a huge fan of John David Washington. I really don't think he's a good actor. But perhaps if he tried something different, I could see it. Who's this guy that everybody wants to be the new Kang? They should just make him the new T'Challa. What's that guy's name? Idris Elba. Bro, an older T'Challa would kind of slap. An older T'Challa would kind of slap, dude. Domingo? Yeah, I think he would be good. Aldous Hodge for Black Panther. Well, okay, so this is what I mean. And I'm not trying to go too deep on this. I'm not trying to ruffle too many feathers, but fucking people in Hollywood are so stupid. You're going to race swap Wonder Man and make Aldous Hodge play a race swapped Wonder Man instead of T'Challa. That is so fucking stupid. Don't do that. Just do T'Challa. Bring in Blue Marvel. Bring in Bishop. Bring in Luke Cage. What are they doing? He's not Wonder Man. He is Wonder Man. I mean, that's what they're doing. You know what I mean? So, they literally would rather do that than bring T'Challa back. It's so weird. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even want to, like, think about it too much. I'll start to get mad. You know what I'm saying? Like, fucking Wonder Man? Who gives a fuck about Wonder Man, bro? Anyway. So this is why I won't be hired by Marvel or DC, but we can at least try. You know what I mean? Like, we can at least try. And see how that shit goes. Okay. Let's read this article with Chris Evans, man. Based Chris Evans? Is this based Chris Evans talking about Marvel movies? I don't know, but we're going to find out together. Chris Evans says Marvel deserves more credit for making some great movies. There would be a lot more good superhero films if they were easy to make. Oh shit. Ah! It's true. Chris Evans made a recent appearance at Emerald City Comic Con 2024 via Total Film, and he threw his support behind comic book movies, a genre he'll be forever associated with after playing Captain America in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for nearly 10 years. Comic book movies in general, for whatever reason, don't always get the credit I think they deserve, Evans told the audience. They are these big, giant movies. There are a lot of cooks in the kitchen, but the empirical evidence is in. They are not easy to make. If it were easier, there would be a lot more good movies and a lot less The Marvels and fucking Madam Web. Fuck them. I can't believe he said that. I'm not throwing shade. I've been a part of a few that missed. It happens. Making a movie is tough. More cooks in the kitchen doesn't make it easier. I don't want to highlight specific films in the Marvel catalog, but some of them like The Marvels and Quantumania and Thor Love and Thunder and a little bit of Eternals. But some of them are phenomenal. Like independently, objectively great movies. And I think they deserve a little more credit. So, yeah, kind of based. Evans highlighted 2014's Captain America: The Winter Soldier as his favorite Marvel movie to make. The film marked his second solo outing as Captain America. It's my personal favorite Marvel movie that I was a part of. It's not just for the movie itself, but for the experience. The first film, I was so nervous. You know what you're stepping into, and as a result, you're playing defense and you're playing not to lose. When Winter Soldier came around, we were playing to win. I like that, man. I like this fucking guy. Get him back in the suit. And it was the first movie with the Russo brothers. We were taking more risks, and the character felt more fleshed out. It was one of the most satisfying experiences I've had in my Marvel run. Crazy, because I still think this is the best movie they've ever made. I still think Winter Soldier is the best movie they've ever made. It is just top to bottom incredible. Evans exited the Marvel Cinematic Universe after 2019's Endgame. Speaking at C2E2 fan convention in Chicago last year, he said a potential Captain America return doesn't quite feel right at the moment. However, Evans did admit telling more Captain America stories is appealing to him, so never say never. It's tough because, look, I love that role deeply. Evans said when asked about returning as Captain America, he means so much to me, and I really do. I think there's more Steve Rogers stories to tell, sure. But at the same time, I'm very, very precious with it. It's like this shiny little thing that I have that I love so much, and I just don't want to mess it up in any way. I was a part of something that was so special for the special period of time, and in a way, it really landed so well. That's true. Evans added, as much as I'm connected to the role, I would love telling those stories or working with those people. It doesn't quite feel right now. Avengers Endgame ended with Steve Rogers giving the Captain America shield to Sam Mackie, or Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson. The Disney Plus series, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, centered on Sam as he reconciled becoming Captain America, and then Marvel decided to not show him again at all for 6 years. Bold strategy, Marvel. Okay, so yeah, this shit's dope. Super based. I think he's right. And I think you can kind of tell, even just the way he addresses it, it's important to him. It matters to him. And I think they could do some incredible stuff with him still. There's a lot of rumors of like that Nomad project. Maybe Chris would be involved in that. Now, I've talked about this before, but I actually think the potential next time you could see Chris Evans as Captain America will actually be in Doctor Strange 3. So let me take you to crazy speculation theory time, okay? And I like doing this because I like seeing how many of you have paid attention over the years. You know what I mean? So, how many of you were around when I was talking about rumors of Steve Rogers as a Hydra version of Captain America popping up in Multiverse of Madness? How many of you remember that? Throw one into the chat if you do. I think Toby and Tom would be on different parts of Battleworld and would run into each other until the end of it. That's potentially true, yeah. Okay, so this is where this gets crazy, because one of the rumors associated with Chris Evans returning as Hydra Cap was connected to Clea, actually, okay? And I think this either came from Charles Murphy, or it might have come from, oh man, I'm blanking on the one dude's name. He had a website and he doesn't use it anymore. But anyway, it came from some people that were reliable at the time. And the reports were back then that Hydra Cap and Clea would be working together as a multiversal group, an organization that was doing stuff within the multiverse. And this was in the context of like the lead up to Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars and Time Runs Out and all that, okay? So I put this together the other day. Yeah, maybe Jeremy Conrad. Maybe it came from him. I put this together the other day. We actually know that Clea is going to be a part of Doctor Strange 3. Okay? And the rumor is that Clea is in charge of the Black Priests. Okay? Now, the Black Priests are a group in Marvel Comics, which was actually it was controlled by Doctor Strange in the comics. They would go around, use this really weird type of magic. They were destroying uninhabited Earths to try to stop the incursions throughout the multiverse. And it's obviously going to be different in the MCU version, okay? But then once I heard that Clea is going to be in charge of the Black Priest, my mind went back to that original rumor that Hydra Cap was going to be working with Clea in this kind of multiversal organization. And if Doctor Strange 3 is really adapting Time Runs Out and it'll be a lead into the Battle World movies, into Secret Wars and all that sort of stuff, because I believe Doc Strange is not likely to be in Avengers 5, or at least like in the beginning parts of Avengers 5. Originally, he was not going to be a part of that team at all, but again, they're kind of hybriding that movie now, and they're making it more like Secret Wars Part 1, so maybe Steven could show up. This whole concept and idea made me think, bro, I think Doc Strange 3 is going to be what many of us wanted Multiverse of Madness to be. And when I think about these rumors, I'm like, oh shit, dude, they're actually going to do it. A Hydra Cap, a sort of like eviler like version of Hydra Cap that popped up with Clea as a member of the Black Priest or something like that. That could be fascinating. But other than that, there's also rumors of the Nomad Project, a lot of rumors that he will be in Secret Wars. Kind of interesting that this article pops up when it does, considering some of the other news that's out there about Robert Downey Jr., Hugh Jackman, Toby. It's almost like there's an effort via the press and maybe leakers and scoopers to remind you that there's a lot of dope shit that could still be happening for the MCU. So yeah, I just wanted to read this article, talk about what Chris Evans is saying about Marvel, and also share some of the rumors about why I think he will be returning. And I can't wait! What do you think? Did I go too crazy? Did I start to go too crazy there, guys? Just be honest with me. Did I start to go too crazy there? Did we leave reality for a second? You tell me, chat. Not crazy enough? Yes? No? Nah, I'm down? Hell yeah. I was still right about the Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah, you were right about the Sorcerer Supreme. Perfect amount of crazy? We want Toxic Josh back? Oh, man, well, don't worry. That's my secret. I'm always Toxic Josh. It'll just take the right thing to trigger me. So don't worry about it. Okay. Elisa, if you're in the chat, do we have the shirts up on the Kickstarter yet? Let me know, because I'll let them know. And then they can know about it. Like Andor. God damn it! Ah! I don't want to talk about Andor! I don't want to talk about Yeah. Okay. Woke Josh and Toxic Josh are equal abomination Josh. Yeah, I guess that's true. I have these crazy competing energies inside. Dang. Josh, will Gunn let you wrote for his DC Comics if he's in charge of it right now? Probably not. So I need Superman that's not Legacy anymore to fail and for James Gunn to be fired. So basically, guys, if you want my dreams to come true, we need to boycott Superman and tear down any possibility of James Gunn succeeding. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. You're going to fight him? No, I would never do that. Bro, he ruined the Henry versus Rock showdown. Yeah, no, he did. What if it's good, though? Look, you wanted Toxic Josh back, okay? You wanted Toxic Josh back? What if it's good? What if the wiener joke making goofball, white-haired, bleach beard freak made a good Superman movie? Yeah, that'd be the fucking day. How about that? That'll be the fucking... No, in all seriousness, he could probably do it. I want the movie to be good. Maybe James Gunn... You know what? Maybe this is what it is. Maybe what we need is a little sit down. You know, maybe like we could do a little sparring. You know, because like sparring is a good way to like get out your aggression and then like bond. Do you ever notice that like a lot of the people in the UFC, after they like beat the shit out of each other, they're like basically making out and hugging each other in the middle of the octagon? Back in the day, and I'm really dating myself now, but back in the day, if two kids got in a fight at school, they would literally put boxing gloves on and go into the gym and box it out. How many of you remember that? Don't you have MMA training, though? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So, like, look, back in the day, there used to be ways to work these sort of things out. And maybe we could work it out. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. I boxed all my friends in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, for sure, man. It used to be a lot more common. And the truth is, like, that's just hard. Like, if you're not training boxing, your arms are going to turn to rubber after about 90 seconds. And then it's basically two people with, like, tired-ass spaghetti arms just trying to wail on each other. And then eventually you're like, ah, shit, okay. I'm not as mad anymore. So that's kind of the way that it goes. And I think a better way of doing things. You know what I mean? So look, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I mean, look, I could send all the shit. I'll send my Batman book to Gunn directly. And I'll send him a little message and see if he responds. How about that? Josh, 3 days ago. I'm going to be nicer. Josh, today. I need James Gunn to fail in style. I know! I'm sorry. Look, you guys did it. You did it. You pushed me to that. Okay? I was trying to be real chill about it. And then you guys were real mean about it. Okay. Let's talk about some X-Men, dude. Let's talk about some X-Men. 17 days from now, X-Men 97. 2-episode premiere, which also I got to figure out what time that's going on. But look, we've talked about this a lot before. This is a big freaking deal. Like, I like Bad Batch. I'm excited about Bad Batch. But Bad Batch doesn't do the same thing to me that, like, this new X-Men 97 show does. The 90s show that was, like, on Fox, dude, that's like a gateway drug to nerddom for a lot of us. Super big deal. It's like hollow, sacred ground. So either X-Men 97 will break my fucking heart, and then you'll definitely get Toxic Josh back, or it will deliver on the promise created by its conception and further the story of those characters that we loved back in the day from the 90s. So it's a big freaking deal. And again, I want to deep dive on the X-Men. So tomorrow at 7 p.m. for the members stream, we're going to be deep diving on the X-Men, watching like a couple of hours of videos that break down different things from the X-Men's history, their past, the different creators that have worked on it. But for now, I wanted to start today on stream by watching a couple of videos that really just kind of break down and explain how important the old 90s X-Men show was.
What are we all waiting for? Invitations?
I got invitations right here.
Ask any X-Men fan, and they'll largely agree that the 90s was the apex of the franchise, thanks in part to X-Men the Animated Series.
Yeah.
The show would become a gateway for countless young fans, but the standout episodes of the series would also be one of the finest stories of the original comic, the Dark Phoenix saga. With its clever adaptive changes and perfect understanding of the characters, these episodes prove to be the rare comic adaptation that manages to both elevate and do justice to the source material.
Oh, hell
but
yeah.
before we explore what makes this the best of X-Men the Animated Series, don't forget to like and subscribe to Nerdstalgic. Looking back on X-Men the Animated Series, there are certainly aspects that haven't aged as well. The animation feels stiffer and lackluster, especially when compared to shows like Batman the Animated Series. However, where X-Men shined was in its use of long-form, serialized storytelling.
Dude, yes. And actually, the Spider-Man show kind of does this as well. And there's a whole part where the Spider-Man show joins a big thing where the X-Men show, you guys remember that? Where they had the crossover of the 90s Spider-Man thing, and there was this big thing that we're doing with the X-Men too. Peter was like, oh shit, I think I'm a mutant. And then like, all those arms came out and shit. Man, that was a big part of it. 100%.
Truly felt like you were picking up an issue of a comic book. As such, when picking a perfect episode of the series, it's impossible to narrow it down to just one. Initially running from 1992 to 1997, X-Men the Animated Series almost didn't happen. Producer Haim Saban used a season of Power Rangers as a bargaining chip to convince Fox to air the series, refusing to air the next season of Power Rangers if X-Men wasn't given the green light.
What? I didn't know that. Turn off the closed captions? You don't like the closed captions? You know what I found out the other day? I'm going to go on a whole tangent now because you brought this up. Did you guys, apparently, the younger generation, like people like, I don't even know what you would call them. What's the new generation? Gen V, Gen Z, Gen C, D, A? I don't know. But whatever this new young generation is, like 60% of young people watch all their content with closed captions on. Is it Gen V? Z? Like, isn't that wild? I was like, what? But I guess that's because a lot of them were like, I don't know, I guess raised on YouTube in some ways. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Poll it. Oh, jeez. Here we go. Okay, so this is the poll, too. Will you be seeing Dune 2 multiple times? 54% of you said no. That's what I mean is like I want to, but I'm probably not going to. Okay, but I can't believe we're polling this. But here we go. Subtitles. Yes or no? My kids love the subs on. Yeah, I don't really get it. I guess they just want to not miss anything or something. I don't know. I watched with the captions started when I was watching DBZ in Japanese. That's fair. I guess if you're an anime and manga person, you probably are more used to that. You are all crazy, says Benjamin. Holy shit. See, people like the closed captions. Sorry, man. That's the people have spoken. The people have spoken. We'll see, though, if it goes to no.
Fox didn't believe in it, but the show and its massive Toy Biz toy line rocketed to success. With its multi-part stories and status quo shifting events, the series captured the thrill of wondering what was going to happen to your favorite characters.
Yeah.
And makes collecting comics such an addicting hobby.
Yep.
Now, this was groundbreaking for its time, as most kids' cartoons opted for episodic Adventure of the Week storytelling, where the status quo was reset by the end of each
doing
episode.
Something to me.
It was this commitment to building upon the stories of these characters episode after episode that allowed the series to masterfully adapt the Chris Claremont and John Byrne epic, The Dark Phoenix Saga. Early in the series' third season, Jean Grey undertook her transformation into the Phoenix in episodes 3 through 7, simply titled The Phoenix Saga. Not long after this change, the 4-part story Dark Phoenix, episodes 14 through 17, aired. In this story, Jean's control over the Phoenix becomes unstable thanks to the manipulations of the villain's mastermind,
Just be honest.
the White
Are you
Queen,
dancing right
a
now?
member of the Inner Circle. Originally called the Hellfire Club in the comics, but sanitized for kids' cartoon standards. Due to the Inner Circle's interference, the Phoenix Force eventually becomes too powerful for Jean to maintain her control, and lashes out at the X-Men, fully emerging as the Dark Phoenix. The Dark Phoenix flies off into space, destroying an extinct star system and catching the attention of the intergalactic Shi'ar Empire.
Shi'ar.
The X-Men confront their
All
wayward
Chris
ally
Claremont
and
stuff.
manage to help her regain control, only to be abducted by the Shi'ar. The Shi'ar explained the Phoenix must be put to death to avoid a possible extinction event.
Yeah, Phoenix
The X-Men
bad.
challenged the Shi'ar Imperial Guard to a trial by combat for the life of their friend Jean Grey. Each of these episodes is perfectly paced, which is impressive considering the behind-the-scenes constraints the writers and animators were under. This faithfulness to the original story was caused in part by the tight production schedules enforced on the show by parent company Saban. There was little to no time to make major alterations to the story's plot, so the writers were forced to cut away some extraneous details, as well as some of Claremont's purple prose, while leaving the majority of the plot intact.
Interesting.
Considering these time challenges, the episodes end up being an impressive feat of writing, making almost 9 issues of a comic book fit into 4 easily digestible 22-minute acts.
Which, by the way, like I said, I want to do like the X-Men month. Let's get into the X-Men. I think for a reading assignment this month, because we've been doing comic book club, I want to read Dark Phoenix, those 9 issues, but I also want to read God Loves, Man Kills. I think that would be kind of fun, is to read both of those events, and then at the end of the month, we kind of talk about both events. We sort of compare the two, and I think that would be really interesting.
Writers Jan Sternod, Stephen Levy, Larry Parr, and Brooks Watchell keep the plot moving without sacrificing any of the standout moments, such as the introduction of the Hellfire Club, Wolverine's decimation of the Hellfire Goons,
The water's fine.
or the epic final battle on the blue area of the moon. Any fans of the original comic will find just about all of their favorite scenes from the comic within. The culmination of this story, with each of the X-Men willing to put their lives on the line for their friend Jean Grey, perfectly illustrates what makes X-Men the Animated Series so special. Through the show's serialized storytelling, the audience has watched this group of misfits become a found family. When each of the characters internally share why they're choosing to fight for Jean, it's impossible not to feel the emotional weight of what these characters are about to experience. Comparing these 4 episodes to the 2 films that attempted to adapt this story, 2006's The X-Men...
I was just going to say this, it's crazy because the animated show did it so well, and then the live-action shows, they screwed it up not once, but twice.
Last Stand and 2019's X-Men The Dark Phoenix only reinforces why these are the best of the series. First, both cinematic attempts to adapt the Dark Phoenix saga lack the depth of characterization for the entire ensemble cast of the X-Men. Although the animated series had the advantage of multiple years' worth of character development, the movies only gave the most surface-level explorations of characters like Jean Grey and Cyclops, making the emotional impact of these films fall flat. These movies also fail to understand that Jean and Cyclops' relationship is at the heart of what makes the Dark Phoenix saga work.
Don't worry, my darling. I'll stay a while longer.
X-Men The Last Stand not only unceremoniously kills off Cyclops in the first act, but turns Jean Grey into a living prop, robbing us of any understanding of her internal agency over the course of the story.
Yeah, it's like they needed it to just be simple. Jean bad now. Very Hollywood, you know what I mean?
Similarly, X-Men Dark Phoenix keeps Cyclops and Jean separated for much of the film's runtime, and never gives Cyclops or Jean the spotlight long enough for their relationship to feel important to the audience. By glossing over the character building of the ensemble to focus on the big-name characters like Wolverine, the Fox X-Men films are unable to properly adapt the Dark Phoenix saga. The animated series succeeds in every area where the film fails. These episodes were certainly faithful to the comics, but more importantly, the show takes the time to invest the audience in the relationship between Jean Grey and Cyclops.
Jean!
We've watched their commitment to one another deepen over the course of the series. Additionally, the show's handling of the Dark Phoenix as a concept has a strong allegorical significance.
Why do you care about this body?
I love her.
The way Professor X and Cyclops discuss Jean's struggles in the first episode feels similar to conversations about terminal illness. The story of the Dark Phoenix is massive and intergalactic, but the reason it has become a classic is because of the personal stakes. Scott and Jean know they are living on borrowed time, and while the story culminates in a battle of the blue area of the moon against alien warriors, it is ultimately a story about a person who must confront their mortality.
Yeah, for sure.
And how the people who love her and support her...
I heard, like I said, I was doing some research on Claremont over the weekend, and there's this interview where he's talking about how, Jean specifically is, because she's a telepath, at some level would be able to feel each and every one of her cells, actually dying. And the experience of feeling herself die at a very intimate level while also feeling everybody mourn for her as she's dying would have been a super big, like, emotional toll. It's something that comes across in the comic and a little bit in the show, but definitely not in the movies at all.
What may be her final days. The animated series captures this pathos of this idea beautifully, further cementing why it's one of the finest arcs of the series. For those familiar with the comics, these episodes largely follow Claremont and Byrne's original story beat for beat. In fact, it makes changes that, with the benefit of hindsight, probably should have been used in the original comic. It's a rare adaptation that not only faithfully adapts the source material, but in some ways improves upon it. In the original comic series, the Dark Phoenix destroys a solar system filled with sentient beings, essentially committing a massive cosmic genocide. This storytelling decision ultimately doomed Jean Grey, as Marvel editor Jim Shooter found the idea of Jean being forgiven for this act, possessed or not, to be impossible to sell to readers. After some debate on what Jean's fate should be, Claremont decided the best course would be to kill off Jean in the end. The animated series avoids this problem by having Jean destroy an uninhabited galaxy, rather than one populated by aliens. This leads to the other major departure from the original source material. Jean Grey lives. When it becomes clear that the tide of the battle has turned against the X-Men, Jean allows herself to be disintegrated by a Shi'ar cannon. This act frees the Phoenix and returns it to a benevolent state. The Phoenix tells the X-Men that it can resurrect Jean, but only if each of them gives a fraction of their own life force. They agree without hesitation. Although some may see this as a kaput to Claremont's bold choice to kill off one of the founding members.
It was bold, man. People were really upset when he killed Jean off. To this day, some people are still upset with him for doing it.
Of the X-Men, it's actually an affecting summation of the story's themes. When facing death, we all yearn for a few more moments with our loved ones, even at great personal costs to ourselves. In the comics, Jean would inevitably be resurrected time and time again, and her initial death would cause a lot of strange messiness in the personal life of Scott Summers, such as his marriage to Jean's clone, Madeline Pryor, that made the character deeply unlikable. The cartoon, by contrast, was able to sidestep these mistakes and keep Jean alive in a fashion—
or did it? Because now it seems like they might be doing that with the X-Men 97, which I think would be dope.
—that felt both logical and functioned as an emotionally satisfying ending to the story. Beyond being the best episodes of X-Men the Animated Series, these episodes are an illustration of the way to do comic adaptations right. Show reverence and faithfulness to the source material, but don't hesitate to look at how the stories succeed and fail in the eyes of fans, and make changes that suit the themes of the story. What do you think? Is this one of the best X-Men the Animated Series episodes?
Good video.
Here on Caladan, we've ruled by air.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me, bub. 160 years old and having my heart broken for the millionth time. How did it all go so wrong? Well, if you ask me, it all started back when I met a man named Xavier. No, not that one. The other one.
In today's modern world, where conversations of acceptance, tolerance, community, and laser eyes are so prominent, you'd think X-Men would be a bigger hit for touching on all of that. But as it is, X-Men is in that nebulous Ralph Boner void between projects after Disney purchased 20th Century Fox, and we're left with a dearth of X-Men content.
Yep.
Will they be brought back with the same cast via the multiverse and Doctor Strange?
Not in this one, but they will be.
Strange too?
I guess Charles was.
With a hot young new group of photogenic 20-somethings that have a lot of followers on the gram? Who knows? I can't keep track of what's happening anymore, so my prediction is that all the X-Men will be former employees of Tony Stark that want revenge because he called them freaks and weirdos at a party once.
Sounds about right.
Seeing as how it's going to be a while before we get more X-Men on the big or possibly small screen, it might be fun to take a look back at their first successful outing as a cross-media adaptation. You'd think that it wasn't until the grounded and serious live-action take that X-Men adaptations would touch on the more grounded and serious themes. But I think that the X-Men of the 90s accomplished that just as much as the movies did.
True.
And maybe a bit more, while also being full of depth and love for the source material. You know, instead of unbridled shame. But before we get too much further into all that 90s Saturday morning cartoon goodness, I got a secret to tell you. It's really important, so hear me out. Lean in, because I want you to focus on this one. There's just been something really bothering me lately.
Sponsor it?
Not enough people are talking about it. There's
Raid
this
Shadow
thing going
Legends?
around that maybe you've heard
All right,
of.
normally I
It has
play these
global
things, but I'm
TV
sorry. I hope you don't mind.
massive
Raid Shadow Legends. Support the
video.
guy if you want
If
to.
you haven't seen the show, or maybe you have, take this journey with me back to the very beginning. No, not that. Let's start even earlier. But we'll get to that. Whenever people talked about 90s X-Men growing up, I always imagined this. The 1989 pilot that was never picked up for a series, now dubbed Pride of the X-Men. Because this was the only older X-Men cartoon I watched as a kid. I was born in 98, so the animated series wasn't on anymore. Just reruns on channels I didn't watch, and by the time I was old enough to care about these shows, Evolution was in full swing. So
Evolution,
I didn't feel
not
the
good.
need to seek out the older one. But I had a VHS tape of
Maybe
this.
I should give
Before I
Evolution
get into
another
the
try.
90s
I
show,
don't know.
I feel it's interesting to have some context with this 30-minute pilot that came a few years before. Narrated by Stan Lee the Manly Lee.
Welcome. This is Stan Lee of Marvel Comics warning you to look around you. Your classmates, your friends. You never know which one of them may be a mutant.
It's lighthearted and fast-paced and doesn't dwell on anything too heavy. It's the story of Kitty Pryde being inducted into the X-Men's spitefully named School for Freaks and Weirdos and helping to stop
I just really
Magneto's
didn't like the
Brotherhood of
first
Unsubtlety
season of
from unleashing
Evolution,
a
but,
doomsday
you know,
weapon
maybe
to
I should
blow
just
up
keep
the
going.
Earth. It has a real 80s action
Josh hates
cartoon
Evolution
feel.
and
Here's
Evolution.
the good guys,
No
here's
comment,
the bad
Carl.
guys. They fight. G.I. Joe and Cobra, Autobots and Decepticons, He-Man and Skeletor, normal people versus Twitter users. It's really well animated, but it's just too simple. It doesn't have the biting commentary that makes X-Men important and relevant. The themes are too surface level. It doesn't want to bog anyone down by reminding them of racism, so it's just super people punching each other. I do enjoy the look of the characters in this version, and they had a pretty decent roster for the X-Men. Somehow as a kid, I never noticed that Wolverine had this accent.
Get with it. The X-Men don't have room for whiny brats.
No
Apparently
way.
the creators were forced to make that change because
No way. What is that, like an Australian British accent or something like that?
Max and Crocodile Dundee were popular at the time.
How you doing? Want a piece of fruit?
Kids, welcome her. Wait, she's not joining the X-Men, is she?
Oh,
She's
no.
just a kid.
Wolverine!
What's the matter with this bozo? An Australian playing me? That'll be the day.
Actually, Hugh Jackman is also Australian.
He what?
They
That's
end the
true,
episode
Hugh
by
Jackman's
making us
Australian.
think
Damn it!
Nightcrawler heroically sacrificed himself, and Kitty laments that the eccentric comic relief teammate has given his life for a noble cause. Except this show doesn't have the stones for
By
that,
the way,
so he's fine.
this is actually Cal Dodd as Wolverine that helped him voice for this video. Isn't that fun?
Fine. If anyone wants to get into the 90s X-Men show, they should see this first so they can get a feel for all the things that this show is not, and what kind of show it was expected to be at the time. Even if you're not a comic book historian, it's still a fun watch and can put the following series into more perspective.
Oh, sounds
Both
like
are
a
good
grumpy
takes on
boy
the
out there.
characters,
Huh?
but one has so much more going on under the hood worth looking at. 90s X-Men is more
Oh, no.
about something. Pride of the X-Men is what you'd probably expect the 90s series to be, and that wouldn't be bad, but it wouldn't be that special or unique either. It'd just be more of a lot of the 80s style good guys versus bad
I hope
guy
he's okay out
cartoons
there.
we've all seen before, and those are awesome. But X-Men the Animated Series is something else. 3 years after Pride of the X-Men failed to take off, but it did launch a
I'll be
really
right
good
back.
arcade game where Colossus does that scream. That shit's hilarious. Then we got X-Men the Animated Series, starring Canadian Wolverine, oh thank God. I'm so happy that we live in the universe where this became the default accent. That was a close one. Would have probably been easier on Hugh, though. Instead of Kitty Pryde, our point of entry into this world is Jubilee. She's a young mutant girl who feels misunderstood and is taken in by Xavier and his team so she can finally feel at home. It's a contractual obligation that every X-Men adaptation starts with a shy teenage mutant girl being taken in by the school and taught about her powers. It's a bit cliche, but it works pretty well every time, because it's a convenient way to introduce the concept of the X-Men without doing an entire origin story for them. But in this one, we spend more time with Jubilee, seeing her feel isolated from her foster parents,
just got up from
being
a
a fish
3-hour
out of
nap.
water in public, and almost
And
being
so he's a
abducted
little
by a
bit
giant robot allegory.
Grumpy.
We
but
get a better
he's doing
sense of
better.
why life as a mutant is
He's
harder
got a
than it
little
is
milk.
for a normal
Show
person.
everybody your milk.
She's alone and subject to a lot of prejudice. Even going to the mall can be dangerous when the
Watch
whole
an
world
X-Men.
wants
You've
them
watched
dead
this
for
with me
being
before.
themselves. In Pride of the X-Men, Shadowcat just
Yeah.
gets to the mansion and says no
Remember?
one in her life knows she's a mutant. Here we get to see why that's a secret worth keeping instead of just being told.
Right. Say
Flash
bye-bye,
forward in the
everybody.
episode after Jubilee has
Say
been
bye-bye.
officially recruited, and the X-Men are running a more grounded
Say
mission,
bye-bye.
destroying the factory that builds Sentinels, giant
Bye-bye.
robot
Look how
mutant
big
hunters
this kid
that
is,
make
guys.
for great video game
Look at
bosses.
this guy.
As their ground team assaults the compound, they're
This kid.
overwhelmed by enemy forces
He's
and
a
Beast
giant.
is captured alive, while Morph, the shape-shifting comic relief, is killed. I mean, it's a kid's cartoon. He can't be dead, right? It's got to be a fake out. He's gonna be fine by the end of the episode.
Yeah, he's
'cause
big
status
boy.
quo.
For all we know, Morph and Beast may still be alive.
Beast is
What about Morph?
What are you feeding him? Like all of our food. He just eats all of our food. No, he's a giant.
Oh.
He's a giant.
Oh, geez. Yeah, he's dead, I guess. Until he's resurrected as like an evil zombie by Mr. Sinister later on because this is a comic book show. But still, the fact that they left the episode hanging on his demise and have characters still reeling over it episodes later is nuts. In a lot of shows from a little bit before this, like G.I. Joe or He-Man, this wouldn't be possible because mortality and grieving the loss of a friend is a mature concept for a kid's show. Transformers got away with it by just putting all
Kids
of that
aren't
in the
more
PG-13
coherent at
movie released
YouTube
in
than you,
theaters.
Josh. Hey,
So this
Doesn't
was a
take
new
much.
thing for network shows of this caliber. Even Spider-Man couldn't mention death. Everyone just goes to different dimensions.
Yeah,
what
that's
happened
true.
to Morph is a great example of one of my favorite things about this show. There are actual consequences, and each episode matters.
and yet Morph is back now, which is interesting. I guess we're gonna see what's up with that, huh?
Beast
Maybe it's
is
a clone.
arrested and remains in jail for the entire season. We see multiple stages of his court trial for the attack on the factory. We see how his case is viewed by the politicians and the public, as well as other mutants. He becomes the poster boy for the entire mutant rights movement. And as the season progresses, we check back in on his storyline multiple times. He has the opportunity to break out of his confinement after Magneto tries to spring him, and the other X-Men meet him on an unrelated jailbreak for Colossus midway through the season. And both times, he passes it up because he thinks it would help their cause if he sticks with it and serves his time. Episodes
For
bleed into each
liberty,
other in
bro.
other
I'd be
ways, too.
loving Helldivers.
Like this episode where Scott and Jean are fighting a group of deformed mutants in the sewers who want to Cyclops because he's so manly.
What the fuck?
To serve my people, I need a companion. Someone to provide me an heir.
And Wolverine's secretly in love with Jean. Yeah, that's that. It's that thing. You remember that thing? Everyone knows that thing. So seeing that her and Cyclops aren't breaking up anytime soon causes him to leave. This was back in the day before the love triangle was solved with adjoining bedrooms and slightly more open minds.
Nah.
So much insufferable pining could have been skipped in those movies. And that sets up the plot for the next episode. Now Wolverine's out on his own in Canada being hunted by Sabretooth. In the B-plot, the
Yeah.
X-Men investigate an island resort that claims to be
I
mutant
mean, look,
friendly.
it's complex,
They go there and
dude.
get forced
There-
into
that's the one
slavery
thing
by
is
the
like
same-
when I hadn't watched that show in a long time, and then when Disney Plus like first launched, like I'm talking like Mandalorian is out. Oh my god, like get your Disney Plus. I went back and I watched a bunch of the '90s X-Men, and I was shocked at how adult it was. Like it was very complex, a lot of different themes going on. Doesn't really hold your hand. Like it's crazy. Definitely a big
D-bags
part of
from
that
the
show.
Sentinel factory using collars that disable their powers. And that plot ends on a cliffhanger while Wolverine finally comes to his senses and decides to go home. And that leads into the next episode where he joins in the effort to free them. Most episodes do something to set up the next one immediately after.
Yep.
And every season has its own long story arc in the background of each story that leads to the season finale. Season 1 being Beast's battle against the corrupt justice system, Season 2 having Charles and Magneto stranded on a strange island without their powers, and, seeing how the team has to manage without them. And Season 3 is all about the Phoenix Saga, and so on. It may seem sort of paltry and common now, but having continuity like this between episodes for an animated show was pretty unheard of.
It was, yeah.
Shows like Spectacular Spider-Man followed this model to tell some great stories, but the 90s X guys did it first.
True.
Most of the time, animated shows from this era would be a Villain of the Week show with a single 22-minute one-off story that's easily digestible with no prior knowledge of the events going on. And everything in the status quo would be reset by the end of the episode every single time. You can watch any episode of He-Man or Transformers and pretty much know exactly what's going on.
True.
And it always wraps up in a nice bow at the end without really dragging out into anything longer, except for, multi-part episodes, but even those are just self-contained. But X-Men broke the mold by being serialized instead of episodic. And of course being about more than your typical heroes versus villains stories among these action figure cartoons of the time. And even the movie series couldn't get as deep into the nitty-gritty of this stuff because they were hampered by the 2-hour running time and 2 to 4 year gaps between sequels. The show could sit down and lower the stakes and develop everything more in-depth and with more nuance. I've always thought that long-running animated shows are much better for adapting comic stories than film because they have that room to breathe. And
you know what's kind of interesting about this? And hopefully, like, here, one of two things are happening right now. We are either setting up all of these expectations that will not be met by the X-Men 97, and we are actually just creating more turmoil for ourselves when this hits in a couple of weeks. Or, potentially, we are understanding what worked and why it's going to work again. And really, I am hopeful that X-Men 97 just kind of shows us how good Marvel can be via animation again. Something interesting, recently there was a report that Marvel's not actually developing a lot of new live-action shows, but they're very interested in doing more animation. And I started to think about it, and I was like, man, I wonder if the future of a lot of Marvel proper like MCU content could happen via long-running animated shows. Yeah, that could be cool. Kind of interested. So it's interesting that he made that point. You know what I mean?
Limitations of budget for their concepts. Much like Invincible these days, X-Men can tell some long...
Yo, isn't Invincible coming back later this month too?
And faithful adaptations of the source material.
It's a good month for animation.
Simplify or condense it all to fit.
Immortus, yeah, he was in that.
Sometimes the story needed to be told over the course of 9 episodes, and that's fine. Often, the show faces the X-Men with problems they can't just punch to death, like political movements against them, media campaigns spreading false information about mutants, hate groups gaining public favor, scientists trying to cure mutants instead of helping them become more accepted. And so the show asks moral questions where the answer isn't always immediately clear. Was Cyclops wrong for leaving Morph and Beast behind, even if it saved the rest of the team and allowed them to fight another day? If a mutant like Rogue, who physically harms people by
Dune
just touching
MMO
them,
trailer dropped 4
had
minutes
the
ago,
ability
we'll
to be
definitely watch
cured,
that in a second.
should she take it?
I want to do at
Sometimes
least
the
10 more
questions
minutes of
get
this video,
even
and then
bigger
we'll
and
call
more
it.
philosophical with dumbass time travelers Cable and Bishop. Bishop comes from the days of future past apocalypse and is going back to influence events from the 90s to stop mutant genocide. But Cable is from an even further point in the future where it's the apocalypse. And some of the stuff Bishop does to stop his apocalypse makes the distant future even worse. So we have this cool conflict of them both going back to the same moment in time.
I did like these episodes too. I thought it was cool.
The many versus the needs of the few. The time travel stuff is well utilized because they generally keep it simple. We get to see one version of the events influenced by Bishop where Apocalypse kills them all. Then we get to see the same 20-minute episode again with Cable getting involved and changing the ending slowly but surely throughout the story.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
coming up
cool.
with a way that he can protect both versions of the future. All these moral quandaries make the conflicts between characters really interesting and layered. Everyone's got a different idea of how to solve the problem, and this stuff's a little more heady than the usual "we gotta stop the villain's doomsday weapon" sort of cartoon plots that superheroes often face. X-Men doesn't hold the audience's hand. It knew that kids would be able to understand and ponder these topics. It doesn't hold back on its themes like the more watered-down '89 cartoon did. Some of this stuff still feels relevant today. Mostly because, you know, nothing ever changes.
Hey, you're one of those plague-carrying mutants! Plague carriers? You won't infect anybody else!
They were very clever about finding scenarios to slot mutants in as an allegory for multiple different minority groups that were struggling in America.
True.
From different races being treated unfairly, to foreign immigrants like Colossus trying to find work, to the working class struggling for livable wages, to this anti-mutant hate leader reacting to his dad being Sabretooth like it was a bigot discovering his father was gay. It's not as blunt of a metaphor as some of the movies in terms
of... another thing that I think, and this is something we'll explore more tomorrow on like the Nerd Avengers stream, but another thing that kind of gets lost in the sauce here is just the otherism of young people versus adults. And I think there's like an aspect to allegories within X-Men, especially with Jubilee, that are actually more about a child or a kid wanting to be themselves and like their parents wanting them to be something different. And there's this, because like, look, certain people can relate to certain other allegorical aspects of X-Men, but I would venture to say most of the fans, like almost all of them, can relate to what it's like to be an adolescent. There's this adolescent thing that happens where you feel like the world doesn't accept you and you feel very different. And I think that X-Men really cued in on that as well. Like, that's an important part of it that gets overlooked because a lot of the other allegorical stuff is more hot button. You know what I mean?
Handling LGBT themes.
Have you tried not being a mutant?
In fact, they may not have even intended that as a reading. Maybe it was just meant to be the racism allegory by itself. But I still think it's a valid reading nonetheless. Yeah, this show is preachy SJW trash and it was awesome for it. Big whoop, wanna fight about it? But it's still very much the X-Men filtered through the political lens of the 90s. And as such, we also get a lot of comic book shit from the 90s too.
Hell
Cable
yeah.
was a super new character at the time, so it was cool to see him
Cable's
get so much
awesome.
love in this show. Same goes for a lot of other Marvel characters
Flight.
that bump into the story from time to time. Like Miss Marvel, Captain America.
Oh, man, Miss Marvel. Oh, man, Miss Marvel.
Alpha Flight, Punisher a few times. And looky, there's a Deadpool! He doesn't appear directly. It's usually just in memories or shapeshifters trying to get Wolverine riled up with someone from his past.
Yeah.
But it's damn cool to see him in there at all.
It is damn cool.
No version of him exists alongside this Spider-Man.
Hell yeah.
All right, Webhead. I heard about what you said to Iceman. No one embarrasses the X-Men with their poor social skills but me.
That's right. Eventually, we get a crossover episode with Spider-Man the Animated Series, too.
Loved it.
And cameo in Dark Phoenix. Looking at their appearance in Spider-Man, I notice how distinct this show's animation style is. Even from adjacent Marvel cartoons on the same network at the same time. They have three-tone shading and heavy inking to really sell that comic book in-motion look. Shading the characters this way makes every single frame of animation just that much more complicated to draw, and it takes so much more time. The show looking as slick as it does is a testament to the animator's skill keeping everyone consistent on model.
And this is going to be something people are very curious about with the new show. We really haven't seen too much of it. I thought the trailer was better than I expected, but we still need to see a lot more. How will this new style of animation translate and pay homage to the old style?
All these colors to put on. Compare this to a show with a smaller animation budget like Spider-Man, which settled at only two-tone shading. I appreciate the level of effort it took to get this show's visual style looking how it did, without going overboard like that Avengers cartoon that was a busy mess of colorful, airbrushed vomit.
Let me get this straight, Poindexter. Your eyes are portals to a dimension full of lasers? Do you realize how stupid that sounds? You think my hands are portals to the stabbing dimension? How about I open a portal to the pain dimension? I can't stay mad at you, sweetheart. Come here.
And a further contrast from Spider-Man, it wasn't as afraid of potential censorship, and the fight scenes have some punching and violence. Nothing too crazy, but not toothless either. Plus, who doesn't love the intro for this show? Which one? I don't know, all three of them are great.
They're
Look at
amazing.
the ones from Japan, too.
Damn, that's hype.
Man, anything feels more badass just listening to that song. Just play it over doing the dishes, folding laundry, doing taxes. Don't take my analysis of this show the wrong way.
That's
It's a
good
little
shit.
more heady and serious than shows of its kind, but it's also silly, weird, and dumb fun, too.
Yeah.
Cody, please, come with us. I bet the professor can find some way to help you.
We see islands full of dinosaurs, giant robots, alien reality show hosts kidnapping the X-Men for an
Yeah.
episode of the hottest show on intergalactic cable, cameos from Punisher, an episode about Rogue stealing Miss Marvel's brain on accident
Yeah.
for like 5 years, time travelers busting in and messing up events left and right, and a Christmas special I reviewed a few years back.
Yeah, no, I
But as
love this
silly as all
editing
of this
style, too. It's a good
sounds,
video,
it's
for sure.
still in service of great stories and character arcs and never feels like it's dipping too far into ridiculousness for me. I love the way this show balances everything, so it's not too dull and sad, but also not too silly and off the wall. But this show does really commit to story arcs for 2, 3, or even 4-part episodes. So if you're not into that story off the bat, you might be bored for a little while. It's a lot like real comic books in that way. God, I wish they'd just stop doing this event tie-in and get back to the actual thing I care about. Another thing I respect this show for is its restraint. A big turnoff for me getting into X-Men movies and comics is that there's like 3,000 characters and the roster changes at the drop of a hat, like superhero musical chairs, so you can never get too attached to like anything. But this show establishes its main roster in the first episode and then never changes it. Sure, all of the other X-Men characters exist and appear like Colossus, Nightcrawler, Bishop, Iceman, but they're all minor appearances that hop in once in a while instead of permanently joining the team.
That is interesting for
Iceman was a member of the First Class team, and we get an episode about him with some flashbacks to the Kirby Lee era of the team in their old costumes. But now he's a solo act that the X-Men team up with for
the
a one.
The Kirby Lee X-Men when Jean Grey was known as Marvel Girl. Do you guys remember that? Anybody?
Done. He's been busy hanging out with Spider-Man, I guess. For a show like this, adding more and more characters with each passing episode would have been a great way to pump out more and more action figures to sell. But they showed restraint, keeping the main cast tight and focusing mostly on them. For one, it helps us get more attached to this set of characters and learn more about them, without getting overshadowed too quickly by new additions. I suppose the action figure sales were driven by the comics at the time because X-Men was huge in the 90s.
Oh, X-Men was huge.
So the show didn't feel as pressured to add more palette swap Autobots and lame gimmicks. Man, the aerial bots and Stunticons, they suck. Yeah, that's right, I said it. Let's fight about it. Something I don't see people mention about this series often is that the art style changed in the final season. I suppose the budget was lowered as the show was getting a little long in the tooth and losing steam, so the characters were redesigned and taken down to only two-tone shading. Something about the redesigns makes this final season feel a little off. It's the same characters, but it's like not quite how I remember them. The final season is one of, if not the shortest, and feels like a fond farewell to the series. You could tell they were winding down because it doesn't have the long, overarching plot. It's almost like an anthology of one-offs to say goodbye to the characters and see them doing stuff we haven't before.
Yeah.
Like a flashback to Wolverine's time in the big one helping Captain America punch Nazis.
Hell yeah.
Look at this show's obvious political agenda. Yikes. And bizarrely enough, the show ends on an episode where Professor X is basically assassinated by an anti-mutant extremist on live television. He's in critical condition in the care of the team, and the attack on him creates mutant riots and uprisings all over the world. Led by Magneto. Much like pretty much every time they fought him so far, Magneto's too tough for them, but he backs down when he realizes his old friend is dying. We then have a heartfelt goodbye from Charles, barely clinging to life, telling his team how proud they made him.
And then we're gonna pick up from here.
But fear not, crying traumatized child in 1997. Lilandra of the Shi'ar Empire and Professor X's cool space girlfriend that he's in a long-distance relationship with arrives to say that she can extend his life on her homeworld, but only while he's with the Empire, meaning that they can keep him alive at the cost of never seeing him again.
Dang,
with a heavy heart,
so sad.
They say goodbye to Charles Xavier for the final time, and he lets the X-Men know he will always be with them in spirit.
And that is what's in the trailer, and that's kind of the setup for the new show and where we're going with that. So that's pretty crazy, pretty fun.
That's a bummer to end on. Jesus, man. I think I respect that they only slightly pulled their punch on that one by compromising that he's still technically alive, but he might as well have just died in this scene. And
it's better than what they did in X-Men: The Last Stand. Do you guys remember the post-credit scene of X-Men: The Last Stand? Where Xavier consciousness goes into his identical twin that just happened to be comatose. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, no, that one wasn't great. But yeah, this was a better way to handle that. I don't think it... Okay, where's the Dune MMO? Dune MMO. Where's it at? Oh, shit. 24 minutes ago. Okay, let's take a look at this. Because if this shit slaps, I'll play it. I like MMOs. I like Dune. So let's see.
Arrakis is a test. Few survive.
Oh, it's Twitter, so the video's going to be awful. Fucking Elon. Doesn't look like it's high fidelity anyway. Aren't you not supposed to run like that? Okay, resource building. Okay, survival elements, building a house. Okay. Ooh. Ooh, space combat? Dang, that's kind of cool.
Arrakis is a test. Few survive it. But the humans that do awaken.
Seems kind of cool. Is it cross-platform? Because it'd be kind of fun. Like, we could get on a server together, build up a cool base together and stuff. That could be fun. Yeah. Gotta find out more about it, though, you know? You gotta know how much it costs, microtransactions, cross-platform, etc., etc. So, kind of cool. Kind of cool. Okay. Let's get into Q&A. Let's get into Q&A, guys, and then we're going to get on out of here again tomorrow night at 7 p.m. If you are a Nerdvenger, either here on YouTube or Twitch, come on by. We're going to deep dive on the X-Men a little bit more. I'm hoping to also have some X-Men-inspired Nerdvengers merch available for you soon. Please go check out Unity, my comic book, on Kickstarter right now. You have your second chance to back Unity. And you can go read the first 45 pages for $1. If you get over on the Kickstarter, there's an option to do it for $1 freaking. So go check that out. I'm trying to think if there's something else I was supposed to talk about. I don't think so. Okay, let's just get into the Q's and the A's. First in today was Rosie. Says, Joshua, what's up, man? Prez says, Unity. A1 exec FPS says, much love from Atlanta, Georgia. Much love to you, man. Appreciate you. Space Trek Serial TM says, I'm sending Josh $5 to use as a vessel to ask a forbidden question. Have you ever seen the ice cream truck? Okay, so that's the one that took us to the ice cream truck story. Andrew Gates, welcome back to the Nerdvengers. Chris says, I'd be fine if we just watched Sydney Sweeney videos all stream. We are Sydney channel now. Take my money. Nerdvengers for life. Well, she's pretty talented. You know, I can admit she's pretty talented. I think she's a pretty talented individual. Oh, you know what I wanted to do? Would you guys help me like and promote the tweet if I post something up about Unity's Kickstarter? That's one of the things. I was like, well, when I got everybody here on the stream, maybe they could help me out. Maybe they could help give it a like. Okay, so hang on, where's it at? Where's it at? God damn it. Oh, here it is. Haha. Only available till Friday. You can read the first 45 pages of community for $1. Check out the Kickstarter here. Let me grab this link here. Copy link. Hubbity bubbity shubbity but. Wait, what? Why is it like that? What in the hell? Hang on. What is happening right now? Okay, cool. Copy that. Boom. Okay, I just tweeted about it. Go like the tweet. Go retweet the tweet. Go tweet the tweet. And I appreciate you, but do it. I did. I'm still lost. I got a global trading system. LOL. Wait, what? What the heck? I don't care that much. Then I'll start getting ads for games I don't fucking care about. Wait, what? Sheesh. Okay, hang on. I lost my place here. Okay, Rosie says, can we do a deep dive on Green Goblin instead? No! Tobin again, man. Hope you enjoying Dune 2, brother. Space Trick says, no one has ever seen it. Where do they get gas? Where do they get gas? You know, I heard they're actually the devil, so maybe they don't need gas. Josh I says, what up, Papa Josh? Bro, I signed up for my first Spartan Super 10K. I'm hella stoked. Train hard, play hard. Hope you and your family are well, brother. Hey, I appreciate you, Josh I. Much love, man. And that's cool, bro. That's challenging. That is challenging. I think we do need to challenge ourselves. So kudos to you, man. I think that's awesome. Let us know how it goes. And yeah, things are good, man. Things are good. Fam's good. Everybody's strong. Kyber Sith says, Josh, I am hella grateful for you, broski. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I am grateful for you guys. It's cool to have this job, be able to hang out in the community, have fun, try to educate ourselves, and have some laughs. You know what I mean? Demonic Jedi says, are you talking Avatar 1 and 2 or Dune 1 and 2? We were talking about Dune 1 and 2. Avatar 1 and 2, though, I mean, I like those movies quite a bit. I like the first Avatar a lot, though. I guess I like Dune 1 as well. But I think Dune 2 is so obviously better. I think actually Avatar 1 is better. But they're both really good. What's your X handle so I can support? Here, I'll link to that tweet I just made. Here is a link to the tweet. Go like it, support it. Go support liking it and like supporting it. Griff says, I'm excited for Rob's breakdown on Unity, Nerd Avengers for Life. Yeah, Rob has the book. I don't know if he's read the book yet. I mean, look, Rob is busy. YouTubers, busy, man. And the last time I talked to him, it was just a particular day. He had been super stressed and was doing a lot. Silver Surfer to be portrayed as male in Fantastic Four. We won. Rosie says, have you ever had a Publix sub? Publix sub. Is that like Jimmy John's or Jersey Mike's or something like that? I have not heard of this Publix. Tim Davis says, Diamond Lounge ready. Can I get a semi-annual welcome to the Nerd Vengers, Papa Josh? Hey, Tim Davis, welcome to the Nerd Vengers semi-annually, whatever you said. You are a Nerd Venger now. Shadow Realm BG says, hi, Josh. Dune Part 2 was great cinematic experience. Fade Rafa was the weakest part of the movie. Do you think Deadpool 3 will be a greater cinematic experience? Publix is a southern grocery store? Oh, okay, nice. And they've got good subs? You're making me hungry, bro. Now you're making me real hungry. Hot damn. Yeah, no, dude, I think Deadpool 3 will be just as fun, if not more fun than Dune 2. You know, I mean, especially because I'm like a big old nerd, right? So like I'm really gonna geek out for what they do in that movie. But dude, Dune 2 is a masterpiece. I had a great time watching it. J Mike Gaming says, watch Dune this weekend. Need to watch it like 10 more times. I felt like I was at a 5-star restaurant trying to figure out what fork to use. Incredible. Yeah, it's a great analogy. I agree. It was so good, man. Link in the description is for the first Kickstarter. Maybe the problem people are having. Maybe throw a second link in there. Oh, shit. Yeah, it's a good point. Let me change that right now. Oh, wait. No, that links to the tweet. No. Bam. There you go. Fixed it up. Thank you for that, Haunted Autumn. Philip Hatch says, do you have any scoops on what's happening with Disney and EA? Theory just dropped a vid saying Iger is screwing EA. No, I haven't really been following that. I mean, I know they're like canceling games and stuff like that. The last time I had any kind of updates or awareness of this was that EA had lost the exclusive license. So that's why like Ubisoft was developing stuff. Other people are developing stuff. So EA no longer has the exclusive license. EA has canceled a lot of games. So I don't know if this, like some of the games that are being canceled, if that's an EA thing, if that's a Disney thing, I don't really know. And I haven't really looked into it. So can't really speak on it with any kind of authority, right? Taylor White says, going to see Dune today with my wife. Wish I could have been in the live in the Diamond stream. It was a good one. Tennis for life. LOL. Oh, man. I went off on tennis, too, for sure. Yeah, no, it was a crazy Diamond Lounge. I knew I wanted to talk about that, too, because of, like, the Cat Williams interview and everything. It was just on my mind. So I was just waiting for it to get brought up. And then once it did, man, we went hard. We went hard in the paint. And it was fun. Hey, J Mike Gaming, I appreciate that for $10. That's very generous. Says, what's up, brother? Hey, I just backed the Kickstarter. Oh, hell yeah. Am I able to read chapter 1 with this pledge? Yes. And are we still able to get in to the special Discord? No, but maybe. We'll talk more about that. Much love, Big Dog. Hey, I appreciate you, man. Yo, J Mike Gaming, why don't you send me... Let me see here. Can I get to... Give me 1 second here. Maybe I can get into the backer report. What's your name on there, brother? I'm trying to look right now if there's like somebody actually named J Mike Gaming on here. But I don't see anybody named that. What's your name on there? Are you still in here, J Mike? J Mike. J Mike Gaming. Where you at, bro? But yeah, I will send you the chapter 1 as soon as I find out which one you are. Eric Meyer says, who wins, Darth Malgus or Obi-Wan Kenobi? Malgus, dude. Malgus would eat his lunch. I mean, he's good, but Malgus is that guy. Benjamin, have you read the Dune books? No, I have not read the Dune books. I've watched some videos on them, but no, I haven't really gone through them. Benjamin follows up and says, I call Sydney Sweeney Robert the way she go Downey on my junior. Right now. Mike Dude says Dune 2 or Revenge of the Sith. Oh my god, why? Why you gotta make it like that? Revenge of the Sith, for sure. Finto says getting close to the new badge. Much love, brother. Might not be here for Q&A. Just want to show some love. Take my money. No Adventures for Life. Unity. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. John Booz says, Miles better save us with a cheeseburger. Oh, yeah. That would be cool. Like in Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars, for sure. Aaliyah says, ScarJo returning for Secret Wars as Nat. She and her ex, Reynolds, seem to be getting along okay after the divorce. She done, or Money Truck will solve the issue? Yeah, no, I think she's... ScarJo will return as a producer and probably in Secret Wars as well. I think. Don't know for sure, but that would be my thoughts on that. Yeah. Alex says, read Brubaker after House of M and Messiah Complex. Have you? Reading Brubaker after House of M and Messiah Complex. I mean, I've read a good bit of Brubaker. I don't know if I've read his X-Men stuff, but yeah, I like Brubaker a lot. Didn't he do the whole Axis event? Wasn't that Brubaker? Because, I mean, he uses some of the X-Men in that, and that's really about, like, Onslaught, isn't it? Cav Poplowski says, what is your biggest hope as well as worry for Deadpool 3? Also, I'm 1 month away till I join the Diamond Lounge. I'm so excited. I love this community. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate you. My biggest hope is a ton of X-Men, and it just makes everybody love the X-Men and think they're awesome and get so excited for more of them in Secret Wars, etc., etc. My worry would be that the movie's not good, and it's like a cameo fest, but not like actually functionally great, and then, you know, a lot of this, like, because it's such a make or break film for Marvel. If it's not really good, I could just see the discourse around it being pretty toxic. Do you know what I mean? Some people are going to be watching that movie just to see what's wrong with it and try to pick it apart and try to shit on it. And I hate those people. But they exist and they will be doing that. So the movie has to be hater proof. So I guess my concern would be that it's not hater proof. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with that. That's where I'm at with that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I think that's gonna do it for today. I'm gonna call it. Andor is hater proof, but here we are. No, if Andor was truly hater proof, I think it would be less divisive. I mean, you know, and it's not just me. There's a lot of people that don't like Andor, and I mean, at face value, Star Wars fans mostly rejected it. It is the least watched Star Wars thing ever. Like, remember they were trying to like put it on ABC and Hulu? They were, because they spent like $200+ million on that, and it got Miss Marvel numbers. And they were like, oh my fucking God. They were trying everything they could do to get Andor watched, and it still really wasn't. So yeah, no, Andor is definitely not hater proof. And it's also definitely not Star Wars. Do we have to wait until Friday to read the first 45 pages of Unity? No. If you backed it for $1, just tell me your name or message me on Kickstarter or something, and I'll send you the link. John White says, did you get my info for my Unity character? No, I don't think I did. I mean, maybe I did a long time ago, but if you could hit me up, that would be great, because you're one of the people that I still need to figure it out for. So hit me up, please, and we will work on it together. Yeah. Okay, everybody. Much love, man. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for the love and the support. Appreciate you. Tomorrow night at 7, we'll be live for the Nerdvengers. Be live Wednesday morning. Should have some cool videos coming out to you guys as well. More Unity stuff on the way as well. All right, everybody. Much love. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Aw, man. Another happy landing. Thought it was a fun one, man. Had some cool conversations. Watched some cool X-Men videos. It's X-Men time. It's X-Men time. Hell yeah. Appreciate y'all for being here. I'll see you soon. Remember, open up your third eye and wash out your stinky butt.